Naruto used the hydrogen style to achieve nuclear peace in the ninja world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26. Kakashi is late, and the storm is about to begin. Fire style. Damn. Iki, you have no martial ethics. Obito, who was performing hand seals, was interrupted by several water bullets, and he dodged and groaned. I know you have fast hands, but you can't let me perform hand seals. Damn. Be gentle, Iki. The enemy will only be faster than me. Obito. Bang, bang, bang. After a round of punches and kicks, Obito lay on the ground with his arms and legs spread out, panting, looking at Iki with resentment on his face. You've changed, Iki. You were only so cruel to Kakashi before, but now, humph. Obito turned his head away proudly. He didn't want to see that handsome face. Speaking of this face, there is also a sadness in it. Some time ago, when the three of them were sparring, he accidentally scratched Iki's arm with a kunai. The injury was not serious, but it had to be treated. The sparring of the three was very crazy. After all, they had experienced enemies like Uchiha, especially Obito, who knew the importance of getting stronger. At that time, Iki's depleted chakra was not enough to perform the palm fairy technique, so Obito and Kakashi could only take turns carrying him to the hospital. Then, Obito saw a scene that made him heartbroken. Because of the intense battle ahead, Konoha Hospital has begun to operate at full capacity. Many nurse sisters have started to use shadow, and Miss Kumi has no time to mess with Iki's little head. Because the wound was not serious, the trainee nurse Rin Nobuayuki was responsible for Iki's treatment. The two of them were so intimate in their actions, and their relationship had probably surpassed school friendship, and even, in fact, Iki was familiar with Rin because he had not fallen behind in his training in medical ninjutsu in the past month. One reason was for Yang escape, and the other was for the new class. With Obito's growth rate, graduating early was a certainty, and he did this for Obito and Rin. After all, if Madara dared to give him the three tails in a few years, he would be more than happy to do. So Rin couldn't suppress the three tails, because she was a professional medical ninja and her expertise was not suitable. In this kind of situation, it is up to Iki to do it. After all, Hydroton is still a relatively complex compound ninjutsu that can be used by multiple people, but it doesn't seem to be a conflict to have one more tailed beast to help. But that's all for later. What Iki is thinking about now is not the future battle of wits and courage with Madara, but Kakashi. Speaking of which, why hasn't Kakashi come today? Did he oversleep? Obito saw that Iki didn't respond for a long time and got up by himself, wondering. He still likes the feeling of beating up Kakashi with Iki. Wait a little longer. Iki wanted to wait a little longer. After all, there were no rumors in the village, and maybe that thing hadn't happened yet. After all, if you want to make a cage level strongman choose to commit suicide because he can't bear the burden, you have to make certain preparations. The two continued to practice, and Yingshu tried to practice everything he learned from the old man on Obito. On the one hand, it would make a deep impression, and on the other hand, Obito could learn it. But Kakashi was late, which made Yingshu have a vague foreboding in his heart. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the cookies of the browser, log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. Although the three of them have only been practicing together for a month, Kakashi has indeed integrated into this small group. Based on the principle of not giving up until one has given up, Iki still made a decision. Let's go, Obito. Let's go to Kakashi's house to see if he is sick. Walking on the streets of Konoha at noon, it was a lively time. There were just a few less ninjas in green vests, but it did not affect the prosperity of Konoha. Iki had never been to the front line, so he couldn't say all this prosperity was built with blood, but he always felt something was weird in his heart. He couldn't help but glance at Obito. When this guy becomes a little more reliable, they should be able to go to the battlefield, right? Finally, after the prosperity was left behind, the fiefdom of the Hatake family was a bit remote, but not as remote as the Uchiha. It's mainly quiet here, but it's relatively close to the core area of Konoha. It's not without reason that Obito is often later than Kakashi. The two finally came to a mansion in the mountains. It wasn't ancient, but compared to Ikki's cottage, it was definitely a super luxury house. Obito was about to press the doorbell, but at this time, several people came out of Kakashi's yard. They were all wearing masks. Ikki felt that they should be Enbu instead of Root, and Kakashi stood among them. This is the situation. Please be mentally prepared. Ikki vaguely heard what several people said to Kakashi, but unfortunately his lip reading was not good enough. The old man only taught him the basic tricks, and he hadn't mastered them yet. But Ikki still made out the words Hokage-sama and Hyuga-sama, as well as don't leave Konoha. Several Anbu left the Hatake mansion with the farewell of Kakashi. Obito and Ikki stood aside silently, and only looked at Kakashi after they left. What's the situation? Obito asked curiously. His impression of Hyuga was only strong, Sama, and the man closest to the Hokage. In short, he was very powerful. For Anbu, that was knowledge that would only be popularized in the second semester of the first year of the ninja school. No, nothing. Kakashi's eyes were a little evasive, but he couldn't hide the worry and loneliness in his eyes. This made Ikki frown. He had a general god's perspective. After giving up his mission and protecting his companions, he returned to Konoha. In the end, he was criticized and scolded by everyone. In the end, he couldn't bear the burden and committed suicide. But he didn't know what happened afterwards. However, looking at Kakashi and considering the time it should have happened, the rumors in the village were about to begin and a vortex against Niga was about to open. And Yingshu felt that he should be able to do something. You don't look like you're okay, Kakashi. Yingshu crossed his arms over his chest and stared at Kakashi with a scrutinizing look. No matter what you think, Obito and I treat you as a partner. That day, Obito was almost beaten to death by Uchiha, but you didn't leave. And now, no matter what happens, we will stand behind you. Ikki said it very seriously, so seriously that even Obito became serious. Kakashi slowly raised his head, his eyes gradually became complicated. Even with the mask on, Ikki could see the entanglement in Kakashi's current situation. You don't have to bear it alone, Kakashi. Ikki continued to speak after seeing this. Although there are some things that we may not be able to help, one more person means more strength. You should understand this. It's not that I don't want to say it, Ikki-kun. Kakashi looked up at the sky, his tone full of helplessness. I'm afraid that, even if the three of us put our efforts together, it won't have any effect. Warm reminder, to make it easier for everyone to choose books, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 27 Hardcore Comfort. Konoha, Hokage Building, Conference Room. In the huge conference room, Konoha's absolute top leaders are sitting on both sides of the long table. However, they are called top leaders. In fact, they are only the three members of the Elders Council and the Hokage. These people decide all the policies and routes of Konoha, and they really control the life and death of Konoha. And when these people get together, it also proves that Konoha is about to face a big problem that needs to be decided. The operation of Kamimu Bridge has failed, and Iwagakure has strengthened its defense. It is almost impossible to attack it later and use surprise attacks. The speaker is an old woman named Tsunetaka Koharu, who is in charge of Konoha's finances and external affairs, and is also one of the disciples of the second generation Hokage together with Sarutobi Hiruzen. And Iwagakure's attitude is also very firm. Zuan and Koharu said in a deep tone, somewhat angrily, they asked us to compensate them for the damage caused by the White Fang team's action this time, and the amount is worth tens of thousands of dollars. Otherwise, they will launch an attack on Konoha. Nonsense. With a bang, an old man wearing glasses, also in his 50s, slammed the table. It's as if they didn't intend to attack Konoha at all, and they still compensated. Bah. That idiot Inoki. The old man's name is Mito Kado-en, a disciple of the second generation Hokage, a longtime comrade in arms of Sarutobi Hiruzen, and also in charge of Konoha's external defense and internal construction. It's not the first day you've known Inoki. If you make other requests, it would be unlike him. Sarutobi Hiruzen sucked on his cigarette, taking puffs from time to time. He seemed calm, but his brows were actually locked. Things had come to this point, which was actually within his expectations. Everyone present had experienced 2 great ninja wars and would definitely not lose their rationality because of a temporary thing. It was just that White Fang's victory forced Konoha's original combat plan to be terminated. It couldn't be said that all previous efforts had been abandoned, but it was definitely not good news for Konoha. This was also the reason why they were sitting here. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Shimura Danzo. What do you think, Danzo? My attitude has not changed, Sarutobi. Shimura Danzo narrowed his one eye slightly, his cold eyes revealing murderous intent. War will come sooner or later. War has always been there, even if White Fang blows up the Kamashimi Bridge. Iwagakure's attack will not end because of this, and the same is true for the other 3 major ninja villages. I said it a long time ago, Sarutobi. Shimura Danzo looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen coldly. If you listen to my advice, the one who should have a headache now is Noki. The Kamashimi Bridge connects the land of fire and the land of earth, and connects Iwagakure and Konoha. In peacetime, it is a channel for economic exchanges between the 2 sides with a long history. For the rich and powerful Konoha, the demand for it is not that high. The biggest beneficiary is Iwagakure, which is relatively short of materials. But in wartime, this bridge will be an important channel for Iwagakure to transport military supplies and ninjas. The Kamumi Bridge is easy to defend, but difficult to attack. Only a small number of troops are needed to guard it, and it can become a thorn in the enemy's throat. Shimura Danzo proposed more than once that, even if it might cause external tension, the dominance of the Kamumi Bridge must be guaranteed in Konoha. This proposal was not opposed or agreed by the other 2 elders, but it was not approved by the Hokage's office. The village is very opinionated about you now, Sarutobi. Shimura Danzo continued, the success of Operation White Fang is your destiny. You have been in office for so many years, and Konoha has suffered 2 consecutive attacks from the entire ninja world. People think that this is because others have seen Konoha's weakness. I have said it before, blindly defending is always a proof of weakness. Making others jealous and being treated as a fool are completely different things, Sarutobi. Shimura Danzo said, ignoring Sarutobi Hiruzen's already livid face, and directly narrowed his eyes, not even paying attention to the expressions of the remaining 2 elders. As the representative of Konoha's Eagle faction, Shimura Danzo always has a certain say when the war breaks out. After all, the doves representing peace have already proved that their vision was wrong. Danzo, I've said it before. Koharu said with a cold face, as if he was refuting Danzo, but it didn't hurt or itch. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand. Danzo is right, now is the time for Konoha to show its strength. If we can't shock the ninja world, the spirits of the teacher and the 1st generation in heaven will not be able to rest in peace. The lion, who was about to enter his twilight years, showed his domineering at this moment. The content of the meeting immediately revolved around Konoha's counterattack. Fighting on 4 fronts, defense is supposed to be the best route, but everyone on the field knew it tacitly. Konoha really needs to prove its strength. Finally, the meeting was over, and the 2 elders, Koharu Sarutobi and Enmito Kado, left first to carry out their orders and arrange matters. But Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo Shimura stayed. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the cookies of the browser, and then log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. The air was silent. Hiruzen Sarutobi was puffing out smoke, while Danzo Shimura squinted his eyes, as if he was taking a nap, and neither of them had any intention of leaving. Tell me what you think about Kamumi Bridge, White Fang's defeat. In the end, Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed first and spoke slowly. Danzo Shimura finally opened his eyes, but did not answer directly. Instead, he took out a scroll. This is all the details of White Fang's action, from the beginning of the mission to the abandonment of the mission. Naruto participated in the whole process, and it will only be more detailed than what White Fang reported when he came. Sarutobi Hiruzen took the scroll, and his face changed again and again. It was not because Danzo extended the hand of the root to the Anbu and to White Fang's direct subordinates. It was because of that special word. Abandon the mission? So, Uncle White Fang abandoned the mission and rescued his companion. In the main hall of the Hatake mansion, Obito asked in disbelief. Yes. Kakashi sighed, his eyes full of worry. These are what those Zenbu told me. They used to be my subordinates, and my master, now, has not come to Konoha. Yingshu on the side was silent. The matter was basically the same as he knew. White Fang gave up the mission, and saved his companions. This directly led to a series of tragedies. White Fang committed suicide. Kakashi fell into darkness for the first time, and it was not easy for Obito to pull him out. Obito's death made Kakashi fall again, and then it was Rin and Minato. Tragic behavior like nesting dolls kept repeating in Kakashi. Sorry, I shouldn't have told you this. Kakashi squatted on the ground, holding his head with both hands, his body trembling slightly, and he looked very painful. It's just that I don't know what to do now. What if Grandpa? Kakashi now is not the future Hatake who can compete with Kaguya Otsutsuki. In the final analysis, he is just a 5-year-old boy. The powerful grandpa suddenly failed in the mission and his life or death is unknown. Obviously, he has encountered a great danger. In this situation, even an adult will be worried. If he is a little emotional, he may have an emotional breakdown. No matter how precocious Kakashi is, he is still fragile in his heart, otherwise he would not close himself off again and again. Obito stayed aside with a complicated expression, not knowing how to comfort him. He instinctively thought of using his newly earned living expenses to treat Kakashi to a bowl of ramen. Before he could finish his words, Iki suddenly kicked Kakashi to the ground. Look at you. Don't even think about whether your father will be disappointed when he comes to see you. I don't even want to admit that I have a companion like you. Iki rushed directly to Kakashi, grabbed his collar, and yelled. This scene stunned Obito, and the person involved, Kakashi, was even more confused. You have to be brave, Kakashi. Even if Uncle White Fang really died in the battle, it was for the glory of Konoha. The only thing you can do now is to practice and become stronger. If Uncle White Fang is alive, you will help him complete the unfinished task. If he dies, you will kill all the Iwagakure to avenge him. Don't you understand? Iki's way of comforting can be called hardcore. Obito has known Iki for so long, and this is the first time he discovered that Iki has such a domineering side. But just when Obito wanted to secretly give Iki a thumbs up, he found that Iki suddenly turned his head and looked at him seriously. Oh this. Obito panicked inexplicably. I'll be obedient. I'll practice, Iki. I will definitely become stronger. Obito explained frantically, although he didn't know why he had to explain. Iki nodded slightly and then looked at Kakashi again. In the next week, the three of us will practice hard and then apply for graduation directly. If Uncle White Fang really can't come, then we will kill Iwagakure and I and Obito will accompany you. This is the only thing you can do now. Do you understand? Warm reminder, if you can't find it by searching the book title, you can try searching the author. Maybe it's just a name change. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, White Fang Returns, Hokage of Light and Dark. Graduating early does not actually mean entering the battlefield. In fact, Yingshu knows in his heart that at the current stage of the war, Konoha is not yet at the end of its rope. And even in the middle and late stages, when Obito entered the battlefield and was framed by Uchiha Madara, Konoha basically did not let kids of their age go to the battlefield. No matter what, the core of the ninja world war was due to inequality, and the degree was far from being able to make Konoha live or die. The fact that the 4 major ninja villages attacked Konoha instead of forming a ninja coalition to attack Konoha is the best proof. Everyone covets Konoha and wants to bite off a piece of meat from Konoha, but they dare not really force the head of this ninja village. So it seems to Yingshu, at this stage, graduating from the ninja school as soon as possible, getting the ninja quota, and becoming a ninja is very cost effective. The tense war period often gives him experience and growth that he can never get in Konoha. It would be fine if the old man was still willing to teach him, but after all, he is still far from mastering the changes in chakra attributes, and he can't rush it. Besides, even if the old man is willing to teach him, there is a limit to what he can teach him. He does want the old man's earth escape and the super long blue bar of the Senju clan, but he can't draw all the old man's blood, right? Of course, there is the most important point. Yingshu feels that his hydrogen escape has reached the stage of actual combat testing. The ninja world is in a nuclear war, and we can't just work in isolation. The truth needs to be tested in practice. Just like that, the 3-member truant team officially started the plan of saving Ninja White Fang. The plan is to skip classes and practice, but unlike usual, everyone has prepared a body for skipping classes, and Obito is no exception. And it is not the basic body technique that Iki used before, but a more solid shadow body. And for this magical technique, Iki also conducted a special experiment, to be sure of it. Chakra above 100% is enough to last for a day, and even if it is slightly delayed, or even hit by a punch, that is not that heavy, it can persist, and not dissipate directly. But Iki found that he was the only one like this among the 3. Kakashi needs to give all his chakra to the shadow body, to last for a day, and achieve the same effect as Iki. As for Obito, no matter how hard he tried, his shadow body could only last for half a day, and it was very fragile. Not to mention that it would break at the slightest touch, so he had to be careful. Obito's starting point was indeed the lowest, but this also made Iki a little confused. He didn't know whether it was because he had too much chakra, or the shadow body technique had become stronger under the training of the old man. So Iki simply took Obito's shadow body from the afternoon onto himself, and the 3 of them began a special training. It was no longer a sparring match, but a shuriken throwing, the use of ninjutsu, and the running in of hydrogen jutsu. Iki's idea was this. He and Kakashi used water jutsu water combo, and lightning jutsu lightning explosion at the same time. When Kakashi hit his ninjutsu, the control was still in his hands. Still has the ability to fire water bullets. Obito uses the Great Fire Dragon to aim at the enemy, and with the help of the hydrogen release, the power is multiplied by n times. The Great Fire Dragon, as a top-ranked fire release ninjutsu, is not because of its power, but because of its room for development. A skilled person can spray out multiple fire dragons at the same time, but Obito obviously can't do it. His chakra is limited, so he can only work hard to control the direction of the fire dragon. According to Iki's idea, this move can be called the Great Fire Dragon Hydrogen Release Cannon. Once the running in is successful, the sum of the chakras of the 3 of them will produce an unexpected chemical reaction. Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Days passed, and the 3 of them practiced madly, as if they were holding back their strength. Kakashi turned his worry into motivation, and Iki also wanted to become stronger quickly. Obito followed behind the 2 of them, seemingly without a clear goal, but he just didn't want Kakashi to be ahead. On the 4th day of the 3 people's training, an explosive news suddenly appeared in Konoha. Nigga is back. In the corridor of Konoha Hospital, the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and the leader of the route Sarutobi Hiruzen walked quickly. The nurses and ninjas in front of them showed their highest respect and then silently made way. The accompanying head nurse Nono reported the situation quickly. He has 6 wounds, and his calf was injured by the detonation talisman, but none of them are fatal. He has consumed too much chakra and his physical strength is seriously overdrawn. Master Jiga is in a coma, but has passed the critical period. Finally, Sarutobi Hiruzen arrived in front of the ward, and Nono opened the door for him. What came into view was a burly but unconscious man wearing a hospital gown, and he could vaguely see the bandages around him. The specially made chakra pistol was still tightly held by the unconscious man, but it was also entangled by the bandages. Lord Nigga's perseverance is amazing. We tried our best, but couldn't make him relax. Even the nerve stimulation didn't work. It's really unbelievable. Nono sighed. Because he is nigga, Sarutobi Hiruzen murmured, then sighed and added in a complicated tone, Konoha's nigga colored fang. It's a pity that this sword still couldn't cut through the Shinmu bridge. At this time, Danzo Shimura on the side spoke coldly. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned, and the head nurse Nono lowered his head. Now is not the time to talk about this, Danzo. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Danzo Shimura coldly, and shook his head. Danzo Shimura narrowed his eyes immediately. The two seemed to be at loggerheads, but perhaps only they themselves knew the relationship behind it. After confirming that nigga was safe, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo Shimura visited other injured people in Konoha Hospital. After 2 full hours, they returned to the Hokage building. After entering the Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately dismissed all his men. The Hokage of Light and Darkness looked at each other across a wide desk. Have you found out, Danzo? The facts are there, Sarutobi. Maybe you can also wait for nigga to wake up. It depends on you. After these 2 simple words, the air instantly fell silent. Hiruzen Sarutobi smoked distractedly and glanced at a report on the table from the corner of his eye. It was from the ninja school. It was 3 reports rather than 1. 3 children applied for early graduation at the same time, and among them was the son of Jiga. Hiruzen Sarutobi's expression became increasingly complicated. After a long time, he sighed. Just do as you say. Try not to hurt the children. You are too naive, Sarutobi. Even I. Danzo Shimura sneered and wanted to retort, but he saw Hiruzen Sarutobi's eyes full of coldness. At this moment, even the Dark Hokage Danzo Shimura was shocked and couldn't say anything for a while. He snorted coldly. Yes. Warm reminder, to make it easier for you to choose books, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 29 Graduation Examination. Boss, your buns today don't taste right. That day, early in the morning, in front of a breakfast shop in Konoha, a customer pointed at the buns in his hand and complained. This. The boss, who was a little distracted, panicked and took a bite, and his expression suddenly became extremely embarrassed. Sorry, customer, it's not cooked yet. In this way, I will refund your money and then send you a few cooked ones. Don't be angry. The boss had a good attitude and immediately offered to compensate. But the customer waved his hand. Forget it. It's not the first day I have breakfast at your house. But boss, you don't look too good today. Hey, my brat went to the battlefield. That brat has no talent. I'm just a little worried. As the boss said this, he also packed the buns that had just come out of the cage and gave them to the customer. The customer took the bun, but sighed first, saying, yes, many young ninjas have gone to the battlefield recently. It is said that Iwagakure is coming. Oh, it would be great if Lord Whitefang could blow up the Kanami Bridge. That's right. I heard that Lord Whitefang had a chance to complete the mission, but I don't know why he gave up. Another customer echoed. I heard from other customers yesterday that it seemed to be to save a companion. The boss said thoughtfully, and then looked at the boys who had just arrived in front of him. Little customer, what do you want? The boy had already taken out the money, but for some reason, he remained silent, lowered his head, and seemed to be in a bad mood. It was the boy's companion who stepped forward and said, Boss, I want a hot bun with meat. Okay. The boss took the money, quickly packed the buns, and gave them to the boy. The 3 boys left immediately. The boss looked at their backs, especially the white-haired boy, who seemed a little familiar. That seems to be the child of Mr. Whitefang. Doesn't he have to go to school today? When several customers heard the word Whitefang, they all looked over. But the boys moved quickly and disappeared on the street. Don't think too much, Kakashi. On the way to school, Yingshu finished eating 2 buns, but found that Kakashi had not started yet and couldn't help but comfort him. Hurry up and eat. If you don't have the energy when the exam comes, you're really done. Yes, it has been 4 days since Whitefang returned to Konoha. Their graduation examination has also been approved, and today is the day of the examination. As Yingshu expected, the rumors in the village have gradually spread to every corner. The fact that the Kamumi Bridge was not blown up means that Konoha needs to deploy more ninjas to the front battlefield, and the families of these ninjas will naturally worry. This is human nature. However, it stands to reason that the mission that Whitefang is carrying out should be top secret, and destroying the Kamumi Bridge should start with an S-level mission. But this is the case, and everyone in Konoha now knows it. Although it has not reached the point of widespread complaints, once a Konoha ninja dies on the battlefield, the subsequent public opinion can be imagined. Kakashi has been a little depressed these days, and even Ike's chicken blood technique is not so effective. Finally, the three of them arrived at the gate of the ninja school. Today is special. They came relatively late. If it were usual, they would definitely be late. But the three of them were not panicked about being late, and they didn't even bring school bags. Are you ready, everyone? Iki made the final mobilization. Of course. Obito clenched his fists and changed his usual unruly look. His face was serious and his eyes were firm. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. This will be my first step to become Hokage. Obito was full of fighting spirit, and he looked at Kakashi. When I become Hokage, if you haven't surpassed Uncle White Fang, don't say you know me when you go out. After that, Obito walked straight into the ninja school, leaving Kakashi with a graceful back. Yingshu didn't know what to say. He could only say that Obito's way of comforting people was quite alternative. With their own thoughts, the three of them found Teacher Guante, who had been with them for half a day, and under the guidance of the teacher, they came to a fairly spacious room. Looking at the three little kids looking around like a magical baby, the Chunin Guante coughed lightly. Don't look, the exam site is not here. Hurry up and get ready, don't be nervous later. Teacher Guante said, and for some reason, he always felt a little sour in his nose. Teacher Guante, who didn't want to be arrogant in front of the children, hurried out. Before leaving, he didn't forget to tell him, be careful, even if you don't pass, tomorrow, there will be another chance. Teacher Guante left. The atmosphere in the room became more solemn for a while. The three boys realized that the graduation exam not only meant becoming a ninja, but also saying goodbye to the teacher they had been with for half a year. This feeling. Haha. After becoming a ninja, I don't have to get up early every day. I can sleep until dawn, no problem. I will also eat a Jericho ramen every day and add barbecued pork rolls every meal. Damn. Iki, please help me figure out where I can wear this ninja forehead to look more personalized. I suggest tattooing it on my face. Looking at the two people cheering and rejoicing, Kakashi felt that he was not so depressed anymore. He secretly clenched his fists and said to himself, Dad, you must cheer up too. He also had reasons not to fail in this graduation exam. Outside the door, Teacher Guante, who had not walked far, was so angry that his hands were shaking when he heard the cheers from inside the house. But just when he wanted to go and educate the three little brats for the last time, two masked Anbu appeared. Are they here, Guante Chunin? Yeah, they're inside. Teacher Guante responded, but a trace of worry flashed in his eyes. It is very rare for first grade students to apply for graduation, let alone three of them. Not to mention, one of them is the son of Lord Whitefang. This graduation exam has already attracted the attention of the senior leaders in the village. Even that adult has to come in person to watch the game. And the content of the test is also different from the previous early graduation test. Teacher Guante sighed, but now he can only pray for the three people secretly. And at this moment, in the Hokage building, in the Hokage's office, the Sandaime Hokage, wearing the Hokage's conical hat, holds a cigarette in his mouth, looking at the prosperous Konoha from afar, and the thriving Shinobi Academy not far away. There is the future of Konoha and the hope of Konoha. Are you ready? It may be a little early for you, but for those three children, there is no one more suitable than you. Sarutobi rose and said softly, his tone full of kindness and encouragement. Behind him, a blond man with a crew cut had a serious expression. Yes. Warm reminder, to make it easier for everyone to choose books, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 30. Do you know this handsome guy with a buzz cut? Damn. Iki, why do I have a bad feeling? Obito, who was following the two Anbu, whispered uneasily. It's just a graduation exam, and it doesn't test theoretical knowledge, so why should I be afraid? Iki didn't say it angrily. In fact, with the ninja perspective he had developed from the special training this month, he could really see something else. The two Anbu in front of him were silent, wooden, and said nothing. Every movement seemed natural, just like ordinary people, but they always remained in a tense state. There was no doubt that once they encountered any sudden situation, the two Anbu in front of them would use their elite killing machines. to kill the invading enemies. This is also the reason why Obito was full of energy just now, but withered in the blink of an eye. In the final analysis, it was because Obito had never seen blood, had never experienced murder, and his body instinctively resisted. Or maybe it was because he had suffered a lot. Although Iki had never seen blood, the old man's special training for him seemed to prepare him for the battlefield. Not to mention Kakashi, his father was the captain of Konoha's Enbu, and was in charge of the Enbu. However, soon, Iki was no longer calm. He saw the figures from a distance, although he couldn't tell their names, and had never even met them. But the implicit sense of oppression also made Iki instinctively tense up. As they followed the two Enbu, and got closer and closer to the examination site, Obito suddenly recognized a figure in the crowd and exclaimed, "Oh my god. Is that the clan leader?" Obito was shocked. His graduation examination could actually alarm the clan leader. "It's over, Iki. It's really the clan leader of our Uchiha. It's over. It's over. It's over. Do you think he is here to cause trouble for us?" Obito was a little panicked. He hadn't met Uchiha Kitakami for many days. The Uchiha in the class would circle around him when they saw him. He felt pretty good at the time, but now thinking about it, he suddenly felt a little scared. After all, they blew up Uchiha Kitakami's cousin in the hospital. Calm down, Obito. Iki lost his temper when he saw Obito's noisy appearance. Can you imagine that such a guy can become the third biggest devil in the ninja world in the future? If you want to find trouble, you would have found it a long time ago, and you wouldn't wait until now. If you show more, maybe your clan leader will appreciate you like this. Don't forget, you are the #1 genius of Uchiha. Iki quickly coaxed and comforted him. Uchiha, the #1 genius? Obito's eyes suddenly lit up when he heard this. After comforting Obito, Iki looked at Kakashi again. "Are you ready, Kakashi?" "Yeah." Kakashi responded lightly, and it seemed that he had adjusted his state. "Iki, our graduation examination has surprised many people. Maybe they all want to see what White Fang's son is like. Don't let Uncle White Fang down, Kakashi, come on." "Yeah." The three of them immediately stood in the open-air playground. The examination venue is similar to the venue for the last stage of the Chunin examination, an open-air playground with trapezoidal spectator seats on all four sides. It's just a little smaller. The last time Iki came here was when school just started, and Sarutobi Hirozen was below lecturing the children on his will of fire. At this moment, Yingshu could feel that one powerful gaze after another was lingering on him. In the past, he might have been a little nervous, but now was different. Not only did he not feel uncomfortable at all, he even felt a little bored. I wonder how much impact the old man's special training had on him. TSK, their ages combined are probably not even adults, right? Kids nowadays, TSK, are not simple. In the spectator seats, the bigwigs of Konoha were chatting idly. Who said it wasn't? Narushikaku looked at the field, thoughtfully. I still prefer the son of Senior White Fang. Akihiro Choza grabbed a handful of fries and stuffed them into his mouth, saying vaguely, the remaining two children are too thin, frail, and seem a bit malnourished. But Senior White Fang's children are not fat, Choza. Yamanaka Inoichi smiled, and then looked at Narushikaku. By the way, Shikaku-kun, what do you think of these children? To be honest, I also think that the child in the middle is a bit frail, and one is the son of White Fang, and the other is a member of the Uchiha clan. This child has already lost at the starting line. Yamanaka Inoichi almost read Ika's ID number. Of course, this is also the opinion of most people. Commoner ninjas will always be at a disadvantage when compared with ninjas from aristocratic families. This is not a prejudice, but a fact. But Narushikaku shook his head. Some things can't be compared on the surface. Hey Ai-kun. Warm reminder, to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Suddenly, Narushikaku's eyes lit up, and he saw a figure suddenly flashing in the center of the arena. Blonde hair, a short hair, and a sunny smile on his handsome face make people feel like spring breeze. Minato is here too. At this moment, the three examinees standing in the center of everyone's attention are in a somewhat complicated mood. Kakashi doesn't know. Anyway, Iki and Obito have a strange expression. This short-haired handsome guy, a little familiar? See you again, everyone. I didn't expect that you all applied for graduation. Time flies. Minato greeted with a smile. You, Senior Minato. Iki greeted him, and looking at Minato's hairstyle, he always felt a little guilty. So, did Minato give up that flowing hairstyle? It can be seen that Minato's hair is very neat, and it should have been trimmed. After all, it has been 2 months since that thing. Iki now has only one question in his mind. A short haircut will not affect the title of Golden Flash in the future, right? If this becomes Short Hair Flash, it will be embarrassing. Compared with Iki, Obito didn't think so much, mainly because he felt a little guilty. After all, up to now, he couldn't even do the first step of the Rasengan, let alone master it. However, what you fear will come true. As soon as Minato greeted them, he asked with a smile, by the way, how is your practice of the Rasengan going? If you encounter any problems, you can come to me later. Iki didn't know how to answer. Is practicing too fast a problem? But it seems that Minato should be their guiding ninja. Of course, they have to pass the graduation examination. Iki secretly glanced at Obito. He was actually quite relieved about Obito's strength. Iki didn't know what Obito was like when he was a child in the original world, but the current Obito has mastered 2 fire escape ninjutsu, and he is a tough guy who can fight with Kakashi. Although he still hasn't won, as a genin, it should be more than enough. What Iki was worried about was not the strength, but the chunin who would be in charge of the assessment according to the assessment standards. What if he had some strange views on the Uchiha clan, or was simply arranged by Danzo? Then it would be over. However, just when Iki was daydreaming, he suddenly found that Minato in front of him had no intention of leaving. Looking at Minato's sunny smile, Iki realized something, and swallowed his saliva. That, Senior Minato? Iki asked tentatively, do you have anything to do today? Iki's sudden question made Obito a little confused. However, Kakashi on the side thought of something. His expression changed, as if facing a powerful enemy. Minato tilted his head and laughed. I knew I couldn't hide it from you. Haha. As he spoke, the smile on Minato's face remained unchanged, but he stretched out a palm with 5 fingers spread out, and then the smile faded. He was still smiling, but his expression was more serious. 5 minutes. Kids, I'm your assessment teacher, Minato Namikaze. You only need to hold on to my hands for 5 minutes, and you will pass. Now, you still have enough time to prepare. Minato smiled. As soon as these words came out, the 3 boys were shocked at the same time. Not only them, but also the Konoha bosses in the spectator seats. Although the current Minato has not yet become the Golden Flash that is famous in the ninja world, it is only a matter of time and a matter of popularity. Minato's strength is still obvious. He can be an elite jonin of Konoha, and he has mastered Flying Thunder God. His body is a symbol of strength. In fact, Minato has a strong relationship and popularity in Konoha. Let's not talk about strength first. His girlfriend is Chili, the head of the Uzumaki clan, the descendant of the first Hokage's wife, and the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Minato's teacher is Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas, and the direct apprentice of the 3rd Hokage. If this master-apprentice relationship goes up, it will be the 2nd Hokage. Such a jonin with both strength and fame comes to be the examiner of 3 little brats. How can people not be shocked? Not to mention 5 minutes. Even if a few chunins come, I'm afraid they can't hold on. In the spectator booth, Narushikaku stroked his goatee, his eyes becoming more and more excited. It seems that the Hokage really likes these 3 little guys. Now there will be something interesting to watch. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 31 Elementary School Student Level. It was unexpected for Iki that Minato would be the teacher for the graduation exam. But now that the arrow was on the string, he didn't have time to think too much. Iki made a gesture, and the 3-man team immediately formed a circle, head down, arms on each other's shoulders, and made the final mobilization before the battle. He's very fast, the kind that has no friends. We have no chance in close combat, Iki said with a serious expression. Obito also recalled the accident that day, and nodded with deep feeling. I'm afraid that we can't even use ninjutsu, that would be bad. Ninjutsu requires hand seals and mobilization of chakra, and he was blocked by Minato just by throwing a bottle that day. What should we do? Kakashi, who finally got a chance to speak, had a puzzled look on his face. In fact, Kakashi thought he had some understanding of the senior with a crew cut. After all, his father had mentioned him many times. But now it seems that these two guys are more familiar with him than he is. And looking at Obito's expression, he is obviously still a little scared. So, what did these two guys go through? We are not without hope, everyone. Iki said in a deep voice. If it is a life and death fight, Iki will choose to surrender. It is not shameful to lose to Minato, and it is not shameful to join Minato. But the problem is, this is just a test. And they don't need to win, just delay for 5 minutes. The three began to discuss the battle plan in a low voice. Minato folded his arms around his chest, still smiling, and waited quietly. Eyes were scanning the field, and the discussions in the spectator seats were getting noisier. Meanwhile, in the Hokage building, an old man gathered in front of a crystal ball, watching the live broadcast. This kid isn't simple. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was absorbed in watching, took a puff of cigarette and murmured, "The weak compare, the strong admire." For the three candidates, some people saw their bloodlines and starting points as different, while others saw other things. White Fang's son and the Uchiha child seemed to focus on the child named Iki. This made Sarutobi Hiruzen curious, because his impression of Iki was still at the stage of suspected genius. But at this moment, he suddenly saw that there was a half mummy standing in front of him. Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned. "When are you coming?" Shimura Danzo did not speak, but stared at the crystal ball with his one eye, or rather, at a certain figure inside. At this time, the three boys lined up and were ready. Teacher Kawayasu on the sidelines raised his hands high and then fell down. The test begins. Minato still smiled, but his arms, that were crossed on his chest, naturally fell down. Although he did not hold a weapon, it was also a respect for this test. Minato is polite, well-educated, and graceful, but the three examinees have different styles. "Go to him," Iki yelled at the top of his lungs, and the three of them immediately launched a frontline charge. Hey, so energetic. Many people in the viewing stand laughed out loud. How dare the three trainee ninjas launch an attack on an elite jonin, and they chose close combat techniques. Whether this is bravery or stupidity, that is a matter of wisdom for everyone. Bang, 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 fists and legs collided, and all kinds of muffled sounds echoed on the ground. It seemed that Minato was not holding back, but was just trying to stop. However, in fact, the three of them could not get close to him at all, and they just kept fighting him off. After about 100 moves, the three of them separated tacitly and formed a triangle to surround Minato. The young men were breathing heavily, which formed a strong contrast with the calm Minato. But the people in the spectator seats cheered. Apart from that, it was really good for them to be able to fight with Minato at this age. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid being lost next time. Maybe it is still far from being a ninja, but most of the people who came to watch the game today were just for fun. In the corner of the noisy crowd, a couple sat quietly. The woman was at the most beautiful age of a woman, with a gentle smile and a bit of coquettishness. Her belly was bulging, and it looked like she was between 6 and 8 months pregnant. There was basically no one around them, and it seemed that they were not watching the same competition as others. What excellent children. Our child should be so excellent, right, Fugaku-kun? Of course, he is the son of the Uchiha clan leader, and he is our child. Fugaku said softly. The Uchiha clan leader and his wife smiled at each other, showing their sweetness. Just like Konoha, which excluded the Uchiha, the alienation of the people around them gave the two of them enough space. Uchiha Fugaku looked at the hedgehog-headed boy in the field again. There was admiration in his eyes, but there was also a different kind of light flashing. Today's Uchiha, accustomed to external invasions, accustomed to Konoha's exclusion, the elders in the clan have formed their own factions, and there is a hidden tendency of internal friction. As the clan leader, before he can realize his greater ambitions, he must let the Uchiha usher in a new life. Fugaku's thoughts were flying, and his eyes became more and more powerful, as if he had high hopes for Obito. It's a pity that Obito didn't sense it, otherwise he would have entered the chicken blood mode on the spot. But this is also a matter of course. Obito needs to be calm now, because wait a minute, he is the protagonist. The three boys looked at each other, nodded in tacit understanding, and under the attention of everyone, they started running around Minato. Oh. Narashikaku on the viewing stand noticed something, and his eyes lit up. They have also prepared a tactic? No, they should have just discussed it. Interesting. The three boys kept running, while taking out smoke bombs from their ninja tool bags one by one, and throwing them down. In a short while, Minato was wrapped in a cloud of smoke, which formed a circle, and only the running figures of the three boys could be vaguely seen. The battle suddenly became more advanced. There were also exclamations in the spectator seats. The adults watched the battle with the mentality of holding their children, but they didn't expect that the level of the little guys was not low. Of course, some people were already confused, such as the teacher of the three, Guante. Teacher Guante was already shaken to pieces during the three people's physical training, and even thought that, if the three people didn't graduate, he would have to quit his job. But now, there is only one question in his mind. Where did the three people's smoke bombs come from? Could they have been stolen from the school? Stealing smoke bombs from the school is not a big deal. Teacher Guante is happier than anyone else that the three children can graduate. But the problem is, since the smoke bombs have appeared, what about the detonating talismans? Teacher Guante dare not think about it. He always feels that, whether the three people can graduate or not, he will be resigned soon. Of course, Teacher Guante's worries are definitely unnecessary. Iki and his friends didn't steal anything in the ninja school. They got the kunai shurikens, smoke bombs, detonating tags, etc. from Kakishi's house. Although we don't know whether these will be prohibited in the exam, it's better to be prepared. The three boys kept moving in the smoke. Minato, after a short wait, finally began to make hand seals. Yes, Minato had been waiting. The Sandaime-sama asked him to come, not just to be an examiner, but to let him be the guiding jonin of the three, and understand the strength and compatibility of his students in advance. Let three trainee jonin hold out for a minute in front of an elite jonin. This in itself is a false proposition. The reason why Minato waited was to see what tactics the three had. Now, he has seen enough. He is going to counterattack. Wind style, great breakthrough. A basic wind style ninjutsu, used to blow away the smoke, is the most suitable choice. Minato's seal is very clean, very smooth, and very enjoyable to watch. Strong winds blew up, and the smoke surrounding Minato was immediately blown away by more than half. But, it did not blow out the boys. Minato raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and turned around immediately, aiming behind him in an offensive posture. The next second, his azure blue eyes suddenly showed astonishment. I'm serious. Senior Minato. Three identical figures were seen, each rubbing a blue chakra ball in their hands, rushing towards Minato in a triangular shape. They are all Iki, and they all control the ball with both hands. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the cookies of the browser, and then log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. Chapter 32. Ugly. That's Minato's spiral flash. What the hell? In the stands, Akimichi Chozo was shocked. Minato hadn't been back to Konoha for 2 months, and he was basically active on the front line. During a support mission, Akimichi Chozo had the opportunity to see this move of Minato's unmarked ninjutsu. The power combined with Flying Thunder God was one thing, but the name of the move was still fresh in Akimichi Chozo's memory. But he never expected that it would be used by that kid at this moment, and it was used by the left and right hands plus 2 clones at the same time. Akimichi Chozo was so surprised, let alone Minato. You have already mastered it to this extent? Minato suddenly felt that the little guy in front of him was a little strange. How long has it been? It seems to be just over 2 months. He only told the two children the direction of cultivation and the basic principles of the Rasengan, and the total number of words he spoke was no more than 10. Although he did not mean to be perfunctory, he also planned to teach them in detail later. But who would have thought that they not only learned it, but also super doubled it. However, Minato's basic qualities as a ninja are still solid. Although he was shocked, facing the attack of 3 Iki, Minato once again assumed a fighting stance. Bang! Minato hit one of the Iki with a fixed knee, and the Iki suddenly bent into a giant shrimp, and a white smoke rose. Minato's eyes flashed. This must be a clone. Based on his impression of a child, the original body must not be so easy to find. But just as Minato was about to pull back his legs to counterattack, his eyebrows wrinkled slightly. The touch of this clone is not right. I got you, you bastard. In the smoke, Obito appeared, gritting his teeth, holding Minato tightly. That's not a clone, that's a transformation. Iki is fake, the Rasengan is fake, but Obito is real, and the attack is real. Obito used all his strength to hold Minato's thigh tightly, wishing he could use even his teeth. This ferocity somewhat infected the people on the field. People looked at Obito with some strange eyes. Even Fugaku's eyes were full of strange colors. This, another Uchiha. And the attack of the 3 brats has not ended yet. After Obito, the remaining 2 Iki also rushed over, but one of them took the initiative to cancel the transformation technique, and that was Kakashi. At this time, Kakashi was holding a short sword, and it seemed that he was not going to fight in close combat, but when he saw Obito sticking to Minato, a trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes. Holding him is not hugging him, idiot. In desperation, Kakashi could only bite the short sword with his mouth, and began to make hand seals with both hands. When he was about to reach Minato, he suddenly braked, and then pressed his hands on the ground. Earth style, yellow spring swamp. It was the ninjutsu given by Orochimaru, and it was the result of Kakashi's practice after a whole month of internal consolidation. Iki, who was standing behind Kakashi, cursed in his heart. This old man, he clearly said that he would only learn lightning style, but he also learned earth style. But it must be said that Kakashi chose this technique at a very good time. The ground under Minato's feet had turned into soft mud, and with Obito's dogskin plaster, Minato was not restricted to death. But it was definitely difficult for him to dodge at this distance. Ugly. Double yellow Rasengan. 2 Rasengans hit Minato directly. This. Others in the stands were still confused, but Akimichi Chozo was confused. He knew the power of Minato's technique. What would happen if he was hit hard? These little ghosts are too scary. However, soon, as Minato's body turned into a wooden stake in the white smoke, Akimichi Chozo finally breathed a sigh of relief. Minato had flashed to 20 meters away from the 2 of them. Without the flowing bangs covering his eyes, the shock in his eyes was exposed. It was confirmed that was the Rasengan. It was not disguised by ninjutsu. The wooden stake used as a substitute was almost turned into slag. How could it not be the Rasengan? Question mark? Are you okay, Obito? Iki missed the attack and looked at Obito for the first time. The distance was too close just now, and he was not sure if he had accidentally hurt Obito. Hiss. Obito took a breath of cool air and staggered a few steps, feeling not very good. Oh no. Iki looked anxious. Without saying a word, he supported Obito. A green light flashed on his hand. The medical ninja Iki was online. Kakashi also paused for a moment and rushed over. This scene stunned everyone in the audience, and the audience suddenly became quiet. Part of it was because of worry, but more of it was because of the palm magic that Iki showed. Who would have thought that this graduating team would be equipped with a medical ninja? Hokage building. Sarutobi Hirozen almost pulled out a few strands of his beard, staring at the crystal ball, not knowing whether he was panicked or shocked. Danzo Shimura next to him was also thoughtful. What are you doing standing there, you bastards? Go save people. Sarutobi Hirozen shouted. Not many people know the true power of the Rasengan, but the ninjutsu professor is definitely one of them. Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and read background color in the upper right corner of the page. But in the screen, except for Minato, no one dared to step forward. It might be because that would interrupt the exam, or it might be for other reasons. For example, Obito's Uchiha identity? Who knows? However, are you okay? Minato didn't think so much, and immediately rushed towards the 3 boys. But after just a few steps, Minato's sharp observation made him suddenly discover Obito's abnormality. Obito, who was lying in Ikki's arms, was seen with his hands a little restless, moving quietly, and it looked like he was making hand seals. Question mark? Huh. Minato was a little confused. At this moment, Earth style, heart-severing head technique. A voice sounded from under Minato's feet, and a small hand directly grabbed Minato's wrist. It was Kakashi. Is it the chakra left behind when you used Earth style, Yellow Spring Swamp just now? Or is it the clone hidden by the smoke bomb at the beginning? At this moment, Minato understood everything. He could see through the enemy's conspiracy and tricks. A man who could become Hokage in the future could not be a silly and sweet person. But he couldn't understand why these little brats were so mean. And then, the unconscious Obito suddenly did a somersault and half crouched on the ground, and the seals on his hands were already in full swing. Fire style, Great Fire Dragon technique. This was not over yet. Kakashi's body had already come to Ikki's side, and the two of them stood on Obito's side like two guardians, one on the left, and one on the right. Lightning style, Thunder Explosion. Water style, Water Barrage. 3 consecutive ninjutsu instantly fully swing. But Obito did not launch them directly, and although Kakashi and Ikki's lightning style and water style appeared, they stayed in place. At this moment, the entire audience was silent. The battle situation reversed one after another in an instant, and some people were not paying attention at the beginning, and now they didn't even react. But Minato is the fastest man in Konoha. Even though he was hit repeatedly and walked into the trap step by step, he still reacted quickly. He exerted force with his legs and pulled Kakashi's clones apart. Then he suddenly flew into the air and formed seals with his hands. It was his wind escape technique, the big breakthrough. In 2 months, you have all grown to this point. As long as the fire escape technique is blown away, your technique will not be able to be activated, right? Minato smiled again. Don't forget, Minato is a man who knows the principle of hydrogen escape technique. At this time, the target direction is deviating. Correct the trajectory. Adjust 4 points upwards and 1 point to the left. Obito, fire. Ah. Obito screamed, and the delayed action fire style spurted out of his mouth, turning into a fire dragon and heading straight for Minato. Wind style, big breakthrough. The wind was blowing wildly, and Minato's wind style was also ready. The scale and power were larger than the previous smoke blowing style, but only to a limited extent. Fire style, Great Fire Dragon style was also in Minato's skill bag, and it was also the first ninjutsu taught to him by his unreliable teacher. Minato recognized Obito's technique at a glance, and roughly judged the amount of Obito's chakra. Minato was even calculating how not to hurt the 3 little guys. However, Minato's good intentions were definitely unnecessary. He might as well feed them to the dogs. The fire dragon encountered the hurricane, but instead of being dispersed in the first place, it persisted for a while, and even left a few sparks in the air. Although it was only a little, and although the number was not large, but for Yingshu, who had been aiming for a long time, it was enough. Hydrogen release, nuclear bomb. The small balloons that reacted with the water and lightning release retained the mass and speed of the water bombs, broke through the air, and went straight to the sparks in the air. The next second, boom 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 boom. The explosions echoed throughout the entire field and in people's hearts. Mikoto even felt that the baby in her belly was frightened and kicked her. The crystal ball in the Hokage's office lost its image in an instant. Bang! Shimura Danzo, who had been silent all the time, slapped the table. These children are my roots. Warm reminder, the problem of saving bookshelves across devices for logged in users has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the browser cookies, and then log in again, and add to the bookshelf. Chapter 33, Monkey, don't go too far. Sarutobi Hirozen glanced at the few strands of beard that were pulled off his hands. Then he glanced at the excited old man in front of him. His expression gradually turned into contempt. Do you think it's possible? Ah. Sarutobi Hirozen pointed at the crystal ball. I even chose you to guide the Jonin, and you tell me this now? Speaking of guiding the Jonin, Sarutobi Hirozen had to be thankful for his foresight. Just from the power of the ninjutsu just now, if it was a Chunin who passed it, I'm afraid it would be terrible. So what? Shimura Danzo shouted. You have also seen their tactics, disguise, deception, cunning. They are obviously spies of heaven. The roots of heaven. Shimura Danzo was a little excited, as if he had seen some treasure. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned immediately. He remembered that the last time Danzo was so excited was when he heard that the Sandaime Kazukichi had disappeared for no reason. Not really? Sarutobi Hiruzen was displeased, blowing his beard and glaring. How old are they? They are a little naughty. How can they be deceitful and cunning? That's excellent. Isn't it excellent? Sarutobi Hiruzen thinks that tactics are secondary. In his opinion as a professor of ninjutsu, the combined ninjutsu used by the three children at the end is what he values most. He doesn't know the specific power, but judging from the picture transmitted from the crystal ball, it must be not small. How old are the three of them? How delicate can the chakra control be? How pure can the chakra quality be? How much chakra can be added together? The most crucial thing is not the blood limit. Minato said at that time that he was disappointed for a while. The conclusion is, the combined ninjutsu of the three children has a low threshold and great power. If it can be popularized among the Konoha ninjas, then Konoha's combat power will definitely be taken to the next level in the future. These are all his achievements when he was a ninja. Sarutobi, you. Shimura Danzo was stunned when he heard this. Hearing this tone and looking at this posture, it seems that today's matter will definitely not be so easy. But Shimura Danzo has never had the word give up in his dictionary. Even if he is the Hokage, he is still ready to fight. He only saw his one eye cold and his momentum gradually rose. After the first Shinobi World War, you succeeded as Hokage, and I established the route, which initially had only 17 people. Before the second Shinobi World War, the route already had more than 10,000 people, and the number of people sent to the Anbu was close to 2,000. After the second Shinobi World War, there were less than 200 people left in the route. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face changed. Is this a path of pity? That's not your style, Danzo. They have no names, no surnames, and they can't even have tombstones after death. They only have code names. Shimura Danzo continued. Now, I have less than 10 jonin under my command. The more Shimura Danzo spoke, the colder his voice became, and his momentum rose higher and higher. Sarutobi, I don't ask for much. I don't want your money or your power. I just want a few brats from you. I will train them myself. You won't agree to that? Shimura Danzo slammed the table and said, do you really want to destroy the foundation I built? This. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't see the scene he imagined, but was shocked instead. It seems that Danzo really thinks highly of these three little guys. After the second Ninja World War, where is there a shortage of people? Sarutobi Hiruzen rubbed his temples and lightly blocked Danzo's attack. But the old guy has already used his ultimate move, so he has to show his appreciation. In this way, it's impossible to show you all three. You pick one. Don't think about White Fang's son. You know I can't agree. Warm reminder, there are switch between simplified and traditional Chinese. Adjust font size, reading background color and other functions in the upper right corner of the page. Sarutobi Hiruzen threw a sweet 8 and also hit Danzo on White Fang's mood. Danzo may have misunderstood and thought it was a reminder to speed up the progress. He snorted coldly, then I want to, no less. 1. Otherwise forget it. And you can't force people to have children. I have to be present during the recruitment process. Monkey, don't go too far. Shimura Danzo glared with one eye. I'm the third generation Hokage. This is an order. Sarutobi Hiruzen refused to be outdone. You. Shimura Danzo's hands were shaking with anger, but Sarutobi Hiruzen remained unmoved, puffing on his cigarette intermittently, holding his breath tightly. Humph. Ichigo and the other two finally passed the test and received the protection quota. To register as a ninja, they had to go to the Hokage building in 2 days to get the ninja certificate. Look at Ichigo. Do you think I should wear it on my head or on my neck? It's so hard to choose. This protection quota is so handsome. What should I do? Obito was already extremely excited. What if he ranked last in the class? Wasn't he the first to graduate? In the future, he would be a ninja master, one step closer to becoming Hokage. Most importantly, he would soon be able to receive rewards for completing missions, and he would soon realize his ramen freedom. Well, I'm still a little busy, so I'll leave first. See you later. Kakashi didn't stay long. He said goodbye apologetically and ran away without a trace. Seeing this, Yingshu raised his eyebrows, hoping that Kakashi's early graduation would make White Fang feel more open-minded. Congratulations, kids. At this time, Minato came over, looked at the two people who had already put on the forehead protectors, and smiled. Obito tilted his head and smiled foolishly. Yingshu noticed that, although many people in the spectator seats left one after another, there were also many walking here. Although he had never met any of them, he could still judge them from their body shape and appearance. For example, the Inoshika trio, their hairstyles and body shapes are very obvious. There is also a pair of twins wearing wooden clogs with a stiff look and serious expressions. They look young, but they always feel like they are in their 70s or 80s. They should be the two Hyuga brothers without a doubt. In addition, there is a couple. The woman is pregnant and the husband has the emblem of the Konoha guard on his arm. Obito, your clan leader is here. Iki recognized Fugaku and Itachi at a glance, and reminded Obito quickly. The word clan leader seems to have magic power. Obito, who was so excited just now, suddenly became a lot more obedient. Iki saw it, and sighed in his heart. Obito really doesn't look like an Uchiha at all. The Uchiha's coldness and arrogance are not seen in Obito at all. Even Obito himself, like other villagers of Konoha, is a little afraid of the Uchiha clan members. But it is precisely because of this that Madara has set his sights on Obito, right? Thinking of this, the corners of Ike's mouth curled up unconsciously. Kakashi graduated much earlier than the original work, and Obito also benefited from it. At present, the effect of the combination skill hydrogen release is quite good. After a certain period of running in, coupled with his development, the future is limitless. When the three of them step onto the battlefield, it will be difficult for Madara to use remote control to kill again. Iki smiled slightly. It seems that the identities of prey and hunter are starting to reverse. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 34 My Dream is World Nuclear Peace. That night, after having a bowl of Ichiraku ramen alone, Iki returned home, took a shower, and felt a little tired. Looking at the new forehead protector beside the bed, Iki had an urge to find that weird old man, to report the good news. But he quickly suppressed this urge. He was not a childish guy like Obito. Forget it, a mere genin is not an achievement worth praising. Iki raised his eyebrows. Instead of showing off to the old man, Iki thought it would be better to master the chakra nature transformation as soon as possible. The first stage of hydrogen escape has been completed, whether it is used independently or in combination ninjutsu. What he has to do now is to quickly solve the chakra fusion, that is, to research the so-called hydrogen chakra. Of course, according to the agreement, after mastering the transformation of chakra properties, he can also inherit the old man's earth escape. This is much richer than the return on investment. I just don't know what happened to Kakashi's father. Yingshu murmured. If White Fang can choose not to commit suicide, it will be of great benefit to Kakashi and him. Not to mention anything else, with the relationship of skipping classes as a team for so long, wouldn't it be easy to hold on to a thigh? In Konoha, in the ninja world, it is still reassuring to have a thigh behind you. For example, now on the front line of Tsunagakure, there are 3 ninjas who are about to go their separate ways. When they were not yet the 3 ninjas, they fought their way through the demigod Salamander Hanzo, the leader of the Rain Country. They were no match for the demigod, but they survived, and were given the title of 3 ninjas. Why? Isn't it because the 3 ninjas have a master who is a Hokage in his prime? Although their master is a born Golden Flash, it is born after all, right? If White Fang could live, Minato would have to call him a senior. Iki was thinking about this, and his eyelids were getting heavier. But just when he was about to fight Uchiha Madara for 300 rounds in his dream, there was a rapid knock on the door, and he almost lost. Damn it. Iki jumped up on the spot. If it was Obito who knocked on the door, he would turn Obito into a fool tonight. Damn it. While yelling and cursing, Iki rushed to the door. However, when he opened the door, there was no one in front of him, and there was a gust of wind blowing over. This familiar feeling made Iki's irritable heart inexplicably calm down. With a slight curl of the corners of his mouth, He turned his head to look inside the house. Sure enough, a drunk figure was lying there. It was the old man. "You're here? Huh? You have no conscience. You didn't even tell me that you graduated. Are you trying to hide the mission reward secretly?" The old man opened his mouth with a venomous tongue. Yingshu, on the other hand, showed a nonchalant look. Being a genin is not a big deal. This made the old man stunned for a long time. He first gulped down another mouthful of wine, and then chuckled. "TSK, you are a brat. But you are right. Genin is just the most common loser in the ninja world, and they are cannon fodder on the battlefield. It's really nothing big." Yingshu didn't care. He was used to the old man's sharp tongue. To be honest, he was quite happy that the old man could come. Although the old man had a bad temper, was a little too harsh, had a sharp mouth, and didn't like to be clean. In short, he was still quite friendly. Yingshu came to this strange land alone, and there were not many people he valued, and this strange old man was one of them. "Here, take this. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid being unable to find it next time." Suddenly, the old man fumbled in his arms and threw a tightly wrapped thing to Yingshu. Yingshu caught it and felt a little bit heavy. It felt like a weapon, but it was too light. Yingshu immediately thought of the chakra that Kakishi's father carried on his back. It was said that the higher the level of the weapon, the lighter it was. Yingshu burst out laughing on the spot. "Look at you, you're here, but what gift do you bring, huh?" But when Yingshu opened the package and saw what was inside, his expression suddenly became strange. It wasn't a chakra short sword, and it wasn't even a kunai. It had nothing to do with weapons. The old man gave him a scroll with a very simple shape, and it felt very strange, a bit like hardwood. "What is this?" Yingshu was curious and was about to open the scroll, but the old man coughed lightly, which made Yingshu stop and look at the old man. "Before you open the scroll, I want to ask you, kid, are you sure you want to be a ninja?" The old man suddenly changed his image of a fraudulent old man and became very serious, which made Yingshu a little uncomfortable. But Yingshu answered without hesitation, "Of course. Why?" The old man's eyes were scrutinizing, and suddenly he felt like a wise man in life. Yingshu frowned. "Huh? Why do you want to be a ninja?" the old man asked, adding some tone. "Or, are you ready to face everything that may happen after becoming a ninja? Death, betrayal, conspiracy?" Yingshu was silent. "Yes. In the ninja world, ninja is a high-risk profession. Since the establishment of Konoha village, there have been 3 major ninja wars in the past 40 years, and countless ninjas have died. With his omniscience, he naturally understands how difficult it is to make a name for yourself in the ninja world without cheats. Compared to facing these dangers, it may be a good choice to safely hold on and wait for the finale. It's just..." Yingshu's lips curled slightly. After traveling through life, if he really lived a dull life, it would be such a waste. Yingshu looked up at the old man with such clear eyes, with firm belief and indomitable determination, and said, "Although I haven't experienced what you said, I have definitely thought about it. The road of being a ninja is definitely not easy. I have also been in Konoha Hospital, so I naturally know how dangerous it is. If possible, I really want to be an ordinary person, farming and hoeing the fields every day, or being a forest ranger, scratching ignorant children, facing the sea, and enjoying the spring flowers." The old man frowned when he heard it. "Then you..." "Because I have a dream, Grandpa." Yingshu smiled confidently and answered as a matter of course. This smile seemed to have magic power, and the old man couldn't help but ask, "Dream?" "Yeah." Yingshu looked at the ceiling at a 45-degree angle. "My dream is world nuclear peace." "Old man." The air suddenly became awkward. The old man looked at Yingshu with a confident face and suddenly felt that his questions and worries were unnecessary. Yingshu, taking advantage of the old man's daze, quietly opened the scroll. As soon as he opened it, Yingshu blurted out, "Fuck." What came into view was a strange yet familiar sign. It was so familiar that Yingshu had seen it a long time ago, and more than once. Even after he closed the scroll and waited for 10 or 8 years, he could still draw it. But he was sure that this was the first time he saw this mark since he traveled through time. And under that mark, there is a pair of ancient characters. The Forest Clan, Chakra Cultivation Technique. Volume 1, End. Warm reminder, if you can't find the title, you can try searching for the author. Maybe he just changed his name. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35. I'm also a jerk. Obito's steps were a little arrogant. He walked with his nose in the air and showed off his forehead guard to everyone he met, looking so proud. So what? A ninja must have the confidence and demeanor of a ninja. If not, what's the difference between him and those losers who haven't graduated yet in the second half of their first year? Huh. That guy is so stupid. Why does he look like Obito? Kakashi, who seemed much more cheerful, asked Iki on the side of the road. Iki was a little bit uneasy at the moment, but he still followed Kakashi's gaze and looked over, then raised his eyebrows. Well, it seems to be him, but Kakashi, how is Uncle Naga? Has he been discharged from the hospital? He has been discharged, but he still needs to rest for a while. Kakashi smiled and replied. His dead fish eyes narrowed into a slit, which was rare. It can be seen that Kakashi was really excited. Father told me a lot, and I feel that I thought too much before. Although father did not challenge the rules, he made a decision that he would not regret. In short, thank you, Iki. Kakashi thanked him sincerely, but Iki couldn't be happy. A decision that he would not regret. Maybe it's just that the time is not right. The companions he saved at all costs, even giving up the mission, finally joined the team that blamed him one day. Such a blow is not small. After all, nothing is more effective than destroying a person's faith. That's good. Iki still smiled, but the smile was a little stiff. Kakashi sensitively noticed that Iki was not right. What happened, Iki? Iki paused. Nothing. I just feel it's magical. We used to skip classes, but now we are all ninjas. It's fast. Yeah, it's really fast. Kakashi also sighed. A lot of things have happened during this period of time, from skipping classes to applying for graduation for his dad. Kakashi never dared to think about it before. He is only 5 years old. He has been enrolled in school early, and now he is graduating early. It is incredible. The two teenagers looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle, showing a maturity that should not be present at this age, which formed a strong contrast with the hedgehog-headed man who walked towards them at a 75-degree angle. Hey, isn't this the ninja Iki and the ninja Kakashi? Great, great. Are you going to start your day as a ninja too? Obito greeted him with a hoarse voice, attracting sympathetic glances from many people around. Kakashi instantly regained his dead fish eyes, and he and Iki tacitly did not respond. They both wanted to pretend that they didn't know this guy. At this time, a handsome face with a short haircut appeared above the heads of the three people at the same time. It was Minato. As the assessment ninja of the three people, Minato was also the instructor of the three people. One day, Minato would lead the three genin to get their own ninja certificates. You are as energetic as always. Everyone, shall we set off? I'm afraid Lord Hokage has been waiting for a long time. Minato's smile was like a spring breeze. Obito giggled. Kakashi nodded politely, but Iki looked at this handsome face, but he couldn't be happy. Alas. I thought I could write the myth of the people's counterattack like Minato. Without plugins, without gold fingers, relying only on my own courage and wisdom, I can implement the core of the ninja world. But I never thought. Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, reading background color in the upper right corner of the page. I still fell when I thought about the old man's abuse of his body last night. Under the pretext of correcting something, Yingshu always felt that he was no longer pure. 10 minutes later, in the Hokage's office, the three boys all received their own small boxes with their avatars and a string of ninja codes. Kakashi is still 009720, Obito is 009721, and the oldest Yingshu is 009722. Yes, Yingshu is the oldest in this team. He is already 6 years old and a few days old. Obito is still 2 months away from turning 6, and Kakashi is only half a year old. But you have to say, this team that looks underage really looks like that after wearing the forehead protectors. A silly boy with hedgehog hair, a dead fish eye with white hair, and another one with eyes full of sorrow, a depressed boy who looks like he has lost something important. But when Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the three little guys, he liked them more and more, and he was already smiling from ear to ear. From today on, you will officially become a ninja of Konoha, Genin. Sarutobi Hiruzen raised his voice, but his voice was still so kind. Obito's face flushed with excitement, and his whole body was shaking. It was such a happy thing to be recognized in front of his idol. I hope you can practice hard, implement the will of fire, abide by the 3 prohibitions, and become a strong ninja that is respected by others. Sarutobi Hiruzen continued, and then fumbled in the drawer and took out several scrolls. The scrolls were exquisite, in contrast to the other scrolls on the desk, small but noble. The sharp-eyed Iki recognized it at a glance. This was the same style as the scroll given to him by Orochimaru, but without some mucus. Becoming a ninja can also get the benefits of ninjutsu? I haven't heard of it before. Yingshu was puzzled and a little surprised, but he had no curiosity about the contents of the scroll. Haha, no need to read it. Ever since he opened the scroll given to him by the old man last night, and the old man used chakra to correct his body, Yingshu felt that he was not pure, but at the same time, he also gained a lot of benefits. For example, ninjutsu, all kinds of ninjutsu. The old man said that he could not give him forbidden techniques, but he had all the basic ninjutsu. Yes, the old man was not the manager of the number 3 training ground. The chance encounter and bumping that day were not accidents, but were all planned. It is the last protection of a clan that has disappeared and chose to go into hiding and integrate into the village. Although he always feels that his chakra is not enough and his talent is not enough, he can always use his inner struggle and work several times harder than others to achieve results and gain proficiency. It is not because he is hardworking, nor is it because those ninjutsu are so compatible with him. Of course, there are reasons in this regard, but more because his chakra is more than that of his peers, and his talent is better than others. Yingshu also found out last night that he did not have no surname, but his surname was hidden. Just like Tsuna, just like Rotri. His name should be Senju Yingshu. He is a member of the Senju clan. He is also a jerk. Friendly reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, reading background color in the upper right corner of the page. Chapter 36 Class 7 Official Debut. Children, this is the ninjutsu that I carefully selected for you. It is a gift for you to become Genin. Minato, you must teach them well. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and pushed the scroll to the front of the desk, which made him look like giving out red envelopes during the Chinese New Year. This. I thank the Hokage-sama on behalf of the 3 children of Team 7. Minato was flattered, as if his own children had received a red envelope. Thank you, Grandpa Hokage. The 3 young men greeted the new year in unison, and then each of them received their own scroll. Open them and have a look. They are carefully selected for you. However, the difficulty is not low. Children, you must practice hard. Grandpa Hokage will conduct random checks. Sarutobi Hiruzen said kindly, looking at the 3 children in front of him, as if he saw the Sannin of the past. Yes, in the blink of an eye, so many years have passed. I didn't expect that Jiraiya, the most unreliable, would accept a disciple first and train him so well. His disciple themselves must be absolutely excellent. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled, but he didn't know what he thought of. When he looked at Iki, his eyes suddenly flashed. What a good child. With such a high talent, Minato spent 3 years developing the technique, but he learned it in just 2 months. He was able to develop a combined ninjutsu with his partners. This kind of team spirit is what Sarutobi Hiruzen admires the most. This is the essence of the will of fire. No, I must not let that bastard Denzo ruin it. Sarutobi Hiruzen remembered the agreement between the two, and looked at the scroll he had sent out. He immediately smiled with confidence, showing his cunning. Old man, didn't expect it? I have already started to act. I can't give you even one. Yingshu opened the scroll, but found that it was a water-style ninjutsu, water-style water dragon bullet. He was familiar with this ninjutsu. Not only did it appear very often, but the key was that he had seen it last night, and it was exactly the same. Iki lost interest immediately. Damn it, after knowing that he was a descendant of the Senju clan, he felt like he had lost a lot of things all of a sudden. Iki then looked at Obito on the side again, but found that Obito was also looking at him eagerly. He probably can't read. Iki understood instantly, helped Obito look at the scroll, and then gave Obito a reassuring look. It is a B-level fire ninjutsu, fire style, fire dragon flame bullet. It is also considered to be one of the more powerful ninjutsu among the many ninjutsu of the ninjutsu professor. Jiraiya's fire style, flame bullet. After being advanced, it is the pseudo-sensual technique of Great Flame Bullet, which is somewhat related to Mayaboki Mountain. Sarutobi Hiruzen does not have Sage Mode, but he upgraded and combined Fire Dragon Bullet and Flame Bullet to create a more powerful Fire Dragon and Flame Bullet. Fire Dragon Bullet plus Flame Bullet. This technique is almost the best of both worlds. It is a B-level ninjutsu like his Water Dragon Bullet. It is difficult, but not hard to learn. After learning the key, the control of chakra will be taken to the next level. As a souvenir, it is definitely a high quality one. Iki looked at Kakashi again, but found that Kakashi had finished reading the scroll and nodded secretly. It seems that it should be a B-level lightning ninjutsu. As expected of master and apprentice, they have such good taste in gifts, all of which are essential for Hydro-style escape. Minato, here are the latest D-rank missions. I have selected a few suitable ones, please consider them. Sarutobi Hiruzen took out another scroll. This is the fourth one. Yes. Minato nodded immediately, but in fact he wanted to say, isn't it too early to go on a mission right after graduation? He has to learn some basic ninjutsu skills. But when he thought of the battle 2 days ago, Minato instantly understood the intention of the Hokage to arrange it this way. It seems that Lord Hokage really has high expectations for the three of them. Minato carefully selected a mission to help an old man repair a tree, and the reward is 6,000 taels. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the browser cookies, and then log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. 6,000 taels is the lowest reward for D-level missions, but it is still a huge sum of money that Iki and Obito have never seen in their lives. As a labor force, the labor price of ninjas is definitely higher than that of civilians. Minato chose this mission, naturally with the purpose of practicing at the same time. Just like this, after receiving the mission, Team 7 officially debuted. However, Minato was not in a hurry to take them on a mission, but took a group photo first. Iki stood in the center, with Obito making a V sign on his left, and Kakashi raising his thumb on his right. Minato with a short haircut stood behind the three of them with a sunny smile, while Iki did the signature move of a certain tough guy named Namizen, leaning sideways, smiling, and extending his hand. I wish that the ninja world will be nuclear peaceful and there will be no more wars. After getting the certificate and taking a group photo, Team 7 officially debuted. Iki got what he wanted and replaced Rin's position, saving an innocent girl, and by the way, he became a reserve candidate for the Three Tails Jinchuriki, and the ninja world nuclear peaceful was one step closer. By this time, it was already noon. Kids, let's meet at park number 2 at 2 PM. Shall we disband now? Minato announced the disbandment with a smile, and then disappeared immediately, looking a little hurried. This caused Obito's strong dissatisfaction. Damn. Shouldn't you treat us to a meal? I was hungry this morning, just waiting for this lunch. Minato teacher may treat us in the evening. You can wait until the evening. Kakashi suggested maliciously. Iki looked at the direction where Minato left. He roughly knew what he was going to do in the afternoon. Although it felt unnecessary, if it really didn't go on, it would always feel a little lack of ceremony. Let's go home and eat. I'm afraid it won't be that easy this afternoon, Iki said, and immediately headed towards home. Obito sighed with a bitter face. Damn, this wave of loss. After returning home, Iki first threw the scroll that Sarutobi Hiruzen gave him directly onto the bed, and then started to boil water to prepare instant noodles. He is now a ninja, and he will soon complete the mission. In the future, he will not eat instant noodles. Food cannot be wasted. He still has 5 or 6 barrels of food in stock. It would be a pity to throw it away. Iki was ready to finish it all in one meal. Don't ask him why he has such a big appetite. There are some things that Obito didn't expect. Iki was in a daze while waiting for the hot water to boil. There was a lot of information about what happened last night, and he had to sort it out carefully. For example, does anyone else know that he is a descendant of the Senju clan, except the old man? In the Senju clan, apart from Tsuna, him, and that old man, how many are left? Who is the old man? Why is she so concerned about him? Could there be other reasons? A lot of questions made Iki fall into deep thought, and he didn't even realize that the water was almost boiling dry. Knock, knock, knock. At this moment, a series of rapid knocks on the door brought Iki back to his senses. Shit. Yingshu was about to open the door, but he saw that the water had boiled dry. He quickly turned off the fire and then ran out to open the door. But it didn't matter if he opened the door. When Yingshu saw the appearance of the person who came, he was stunned on the spot. No, to be precise, he couldn't see the appearance of the person who came because the other party was wearing a mask. He was murderous and fierce. The pattern on the mask was also 2 completely different artistic styles from the Anbu that Yingshu had seen. Ishu, Genin, Konoha village elder Danzo Shimura has taken a fancy to your ninja talent and specially approved you to enter the route. Get ready and follow me. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 37, Extreme Pull in the Crystal Ball. Root and Anbu, 2 similar but completely different organizations. Anbu is the first and last line of defense of the ninja village, while the Root's responsibility is more inclined to internal purification. In Iki's understanding, it is to specifically attack its own people, similar to the class representative. Looking at the lifeless mask of the Root in front of him, and the cold eyes behind the mask, Iki fell into self-reflection. Why does Danzo like me? Am I not pure enough? Damn. Iki felt bitter. Think about K, a man who almost kicked out of the finale with 1 foot, begging Danzo desperately to join the Root, but was ruthlessly rejected by Danzo. What did I do to be targeted by Danzo? He is only 6 years old this year. He is still a child. Yingshu felt bitter in his heart, but his face showed an innocent expression. No matter what, he would not join the Root. It's because of the honor of the Senju clan that he would not allow him to fall. Elder Danzo? The Root. I don't know anything about it either. Yingshu looked suspicious. What are you doing? Hokage's office. Good boy. Sarutobi Hirozen slapped the table with a bang, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. Damn Danzo, what's the difference between this and directly abducting a human child to the Root? Question mark? Fortunately, the human child has been alert. Dang, dang, dang. Rhythmic knocking sounds rang out, and Danzo Shimura stepped into the Hokage's office with powerful steps. Seeing Sarutobi Hirozen staring at his baby in a trance, Shimura Danzo's eyes flashed with helplessness. He is already an adult, but he still can't change his habit of peeping. Moreover, when he peeks at others, the most basic vigilance of a ninja is thrown away. How can he still be a Hokage like this? Danzo Shimura slammed his cane on the ground with a bang and said unhappily, Hiroki. It's Danzo. Come on, let's take a look. Sarutobi Hirozen waved his hand. Shimura Danzo's one eye was full of contempt. I won't watch it. Sarutobi Hirozen was stunned for a moment, and just as he was about to say something, Iki's voice came from the crystal ball. Lurking? Assassination? Spying? Protecting Konoha? Isn't this what is taught in the ninja school? No. Just as Sarutobi Hirozen was about to take a nice puff of his cigarette, Shimura Danzo's furious voice suddenly rang out. Monkey. What on earth did you hide from me? I didn't say anything bad about you, Danzo. Sarutobi Hirozen puffed out smoke, looking very calm. Good boy, the Hokage didn't praise you in vain. Shimura Danzo was so angry that his hands were shaking again. The old man in front of him was so bad. But at this moment, Iki's voice rang out again. The battlefield at the Root is more advanced. How is it more advanced? Really? Can you confront the elites of the enemy village head on? And you have a chance to assassinate the Kage of the enemy village? Can I really do it? Question mark. Iki's voice sounded a little excited, just like an elementary school student hearing that he is going to be selected as a 3 good students. Sarutobi Hiruzen's calm expression gradually stiffened. Shimura Danzo's mouth curled up slightly. Unexpectedly, right? Naruto stood in the ninja world for decades. I have seen all kinds of storms. A mere kid, isn't it easy to catch him? Danzo, tell me the truth. How many children have you fooled with your route? Sarutobi Hiruzen was so angry that his hands were shaking. What a Danzo, the upper beam is not straight, and his subordinates are so good at fooling the children. Confronting the elite head on, and assassinating the shadow of the enemy village? What kind of cowardly words are these to coax children? Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. Ha. Shimura Danzo sneered, and he was even too lazy to explain. Then what are the treatments for you in the route? Iki's voice sounded again. Join your route. Can I learn many lightning escape ninjutsu and water escape ninjutsu? As long as I kill the enemy, I will get a reward. Really? Uncle Mask? Can I really do it? Question mark. It's over. Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart suddenly turned cold. The curve of Shimura Danzo's mouth became more and more obvious, and his one eye narrowed slightly. This was his unique expression of being sure of victory. Planning and strategizing, peeking into the enemy's secrets, and then controlling the overall situation, disrupting the enemy's deployment, and then calmly defeating it. Danzo had long been accustomed to the feeling of victory. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed and waved his hands. Forget it, I'll tell Minato later. But Danzo, are you sure you want to bring him to the route for training at such a young age? Although he has graduated, after all, you don't have to worry about that, Sarutobi. Shimura Danzo said lightly, the training of spies is different from that of ninjas. It is better to cut off the bonds from a young age. If he was a child of a big family, it would be impossible for him to join the route at such a young age. What joining the route means is an unspoken fact among the entire Konoha top management. It cuts off the past, cuts off the future, feeds on darkness, and walks in the shadows of Konoha. This is the route. But the information about Iki is that he is an orphan. That's another matter. Danzo Shimura was in a good mood, and he basically knew the result, so he didn't even want to stay here any longer, and took out a scroll and threw it to Hiruzen Sarutobi. This is a list of suspicious people who have recently flowed into Konoha. The people in the route have to monitor the Uchiha, so they can't spare any manpower. You can ask someone to keep an eye on it. Hiruzen Sarutobi took the scroll, but didn't even open it to take a look. He waved his hands in annoyance, as if to expel him. He even began to think about how to explain it to Minato. Although that little guy is just a civilian ninja, his role in Team 7 is not small. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that he is the core of the 3, and he's a medical ninja. It's a pity to have such a versatile civilian ninja. But at this time, well, Uncle Mask, can I make a request? The conversation in the crystal ball continued. I really want to join the route. The treatment is good, and I can kill enemies and serve Konoha. But such a good thing, I want to take my companions with me. One of them is Uchiha Obito, the fire-style thief, and the other is Hatake Kakashi, the son of Lord Whitefang, and he was the top student in our class before. The 3 of us have sworn to go to the battlefield together, serve Konoha together, and marry and have children together in the future, so. Dung. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Sarutobi Hiruzen's cigarette fell to the ground and rolled several times, with ash and tobacco scattered all over the ground. But he ignored it. His disappointed expression gradually became sluggish, and then gradually became ecstatic. There's hope. What? They are not in the selection range of the route. Are you kidding? Uncle Mask, Obito is the #1 genius of Uchiha, and Kakashi is the son of Uncle Whitefang. I can't beat him. You route don't seem to be that good. Don't you know this little bit of information? Forget it. I won't go unless I meet them. Then we can't talk. After saying that, the young man turned around and walked into the room, closing the door with a bang. His expression changed so quickly that the root elite couldn't react for a while and stood at the door for a long time. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned off the crystal ball and looked at the old man with a very stiff face, his body facing the office door, his head twisted in the crystal ball, and he laughed unkindly. No matter how hard Shimura Danzo racked his brains, he couldn't think of it. The old man was ready to inform Minato when they were happily ready to set off in the last second. How come the next second? It's cold. Don't worry, Danzo. Your route is short of manpower, and I will let the Anbu cooperate fully. Hey, with this kind of relationship between us. What? Danzo, don't be late. Danzo Shimura slammed the door with a bang. In the Hokage's office, bursts of laughter suddenly rang out. Danzo Shimura, who had not walked away yet, had a gloomy face. He glanced coldly at Fanki in the Hokage's office, and a strange light gradually rose in his one eye. In that case, don't blame me for resorting to trickery, Sarutobi. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 38 Kushina, I lied. Yingshu ran into the room, his expression suddenly darkened. He immediately left the door. Hiding behind the door might be a trap. Yingshu refilled the dried up kettle with cold water and lit it. During this time, he never heard the knock on the door again, but he also didn't hear the footsteps of the root personnel leaving. First it was Orochimaru, and now it's Danzo. The problem is a bit serious. Yingshu muttered. It's not that you're afraid of thieves stealing, but you're afraid of thieves thinking about it. Orochimaru still had a benign contact with him, but Danzo was different. To be honest, Yingshu was ready to resist. If the root used force, he would make some noise nearby. In broad daylight, he didn't believe that the root dared to arrest people in public. Could he still be called a spy? Zizzy, the water boiled, but there was no movement outside the door. Yingshu remained alert and rushed in with buckets of instant noodles, but until he finished all the instant noodles without realizing it, the knock on the door did not sound again. But just when Iki heaved a sigh of relief and thought that the root had gone far away, a series of light footsteps suddenly sounded from the roof. Iki rolled out to Rasengan without saying a word. His ears were raised and his head tilted. The root was indeed not so easy to deal with, but if this root dared to use force today, he, Senju Iki, would dare to turn hostile. Speaking of which, Iki's Rasengan is getting better and better, especially after last night. The Senju clan has a special physique and a special way of refining chakra. Iki had always used the universal civilian version before. According to the old man, ordinary chakra refining techniques cannot fully activate the special physique of the Senju clan. The amount of chakra of the Senju clan is not the same as that of ordinary people. Yingshu also understood that this is the difference between the sage body and the mortal body. Naruto has to suppress the nine tails, and his chakra is more than twice that of young Kakashi. After being recognized by the Kurama, his chakra is more than 100 times that of Kakashi. The blue bar of the sage body is always trustworthy, and the sage body of the Senju clan is not just as simple as large quantity. After Yingshu began to correct it, the chakra mobilization was obviously much faster than before. The big pillar can do whatever technique he wants with a clap of his hands, and Tobirama can enter the instant kill mode with the lift of his fingers, all thanks to this. At this moment, Yingshu had his hands and balls, his eyes were cold and his ears were erect, staring at the position of the person on the roof. The footsteps came from the roof and gradually came to the eaves. Yingshu's eyes were locked on the window, his knees slightly bent, ready to go. Yingshu knew his own strength. Genin may not be enough to measure his full strength, but compared with the group of people in the route who killed people without blinking an eye, the gap is still huge. His immortal body does not have any advantage in the face of this absolute strength. So he has to attack the person first, create a commotion, and then run away in the chaos. Yingshu has already constructed an escape route in his mind. From here to the nearest base of the Konoha Guard, it only takes 3 intersections into streets. With the disguise of the clone, it is not a problem to get rid of the root. But he must create some trouble for the root at the beginning. Otherwise, no matter how many clones he has, it will not be enough to catch it. When a foot suddenly appeared next to the window, but the size was not big, more than Obito, Kakashi and the like, but not as big as old man Minato. But how can Yingshu care so much? What does it have to do with him how big the root's foot is? It's now. Warm tips. There are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and read background color in the upper right corner of the page. The nervous Yingshu suddenly rushed over. Although his Rasengan has not reached the power of splitting mountains and splitting rocks, its power is definitely not much worse than the model pills made by the copy ninja. But it was just in the process of sprinting. The figure finally landed on the window and met Yingshu's eyes. Yingshu finally saw the face of the person who came. It was a woman with red hair and a pretty face, but her expression was a little confused. There was a string of meatballs in her mouth, and she didn't look very smart. It was not the root. When it wasn't the root, Iki had a bowl of ramen with this woman. Wasn't she the hot pepper Kushina? Question mark? Damn. How could it be Kushina? Question mark? This was Iki's first reaction, and his second reaction was that he couldn't stop the car. Then, bang. 5 minutes later. Sorry, I thought you were taking a nap, and I didn't want to disturb you by knocking on the door, so. Kushina said apologetically, and Iki sat obediently on the side, looking at the two big holes on the wall that were almost connected, feeling a little hopeless. At that time, he couldn't stop the car, so he had to turn sharply, but the price was that his cozy little house had better lighting. So, what do you want to do, Sister Kushina? Iki asked bravely. Kushina's coming was not a bad thing. At least it proved that the root was not pursuing him relentlessly, or that they were scared away by Kushina. But Iki was also curious, why did Kushina come here sneakily? Actually, it's because of Minato. Kushina's eyes were a little evasive, and she tilted her head carelessly, looking a little guilty. He has something urgent to do in the afternoon, so your original assessment, you'll leave it to me. Really? Iki was suspicious. Kushina in front of him almost had the words "I'm a liar" written on her face. It would be a pity if he believed her. But then again, how did Kushina know where his family was? It's true, he begged me for a long time before I agreed. Kushina didn't know why, but she suddenly felt confident, but soon realized that something was wrong, and narrowed her eyes. No. Zio Yingshu, do you doubt me? No. Yingshu spread his hands and said, I'm just curious, why don't you wait for us at the agreed place? Nonsense, I want to know you, why? The little chili who let the cat out of the bag, felt something was wrong, and looked at Yingshu again, but saw Yingshu's half smile. I don't know why, Kushina always thinks this kid is so annoying. Sorry, Hokage. Kushina. In the Hokage's office, Minato looked apologetic and guilty. It's not a big deal, Minato. Sarutobi Hirozen waved his hand tolerantly. Although you are the instructor of Team 7, you will inevitably have to perform some special tasks in the future. It's a good thing to let Kushina replace you occasionally. Minato secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Last time, Minato came back in a hurry, so he didn't tell Kushina. This directly led to Kushina's rampage after Minato told the news of Team 7's departure at noon. Instructing Jonin is such a fun thing, why don't you call me? Thinking of Kushina's red-haired dancing posture at that time, Minato felt a headache for a while, and at the same time he secretly sympathized with the three little guys. I hope Kushina won't mess around. Minato smiled bitterly, and murmured in his heart, Iki, is this why you sold my place to your girlfriend? You lost money, bastard. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 39. Think about what Minato would do. In the afternoon, Konoha's second camp. What's going on? Obito asked Iki secretly, looking at Kushina who was constantly groping in her small bag in front of him, really not knowing what she was looking for. It's said that Minato Sensei has. Never mind, just cooperate. After all, she's the master's wife. Iki replied quietly. Cheer up. Kakashi said seriously. I heard from my father that our master's wife is incredible, known as the most unprovoked existence in Konoha. When she gets angry, even the Hokage has to stay at home and not go out. In short, don't make her angry. Iki nodded, who felt the same way, but Obito on the side looked confused. Sister Kushina. Is the master's wife that scary? I think she's quite gentle, and quite generous. Obito is indeed the one who can say that Orochimaru is quite amiable. His impression of Kushina was still on that bowl of Supreme Edition Ichiraku ramen. Strange. I remembered that I brought it. I've been looking for it. At this time, Kushina finally found her teaching tool, a delicate bell, from the pile of jingling treasures in her small bag. Kushina put the bell in her hand, jingled it, squinted her eyes and smiled. Children, the test is about to begin. No matter what method you use, as long as you can snatch this bell from my hand, you will pass. Kushina said, and kept giving Iki a look, as if she was confirming something. Iki didn't know how to respond. I can help take you to the rendezvous point, but I can't tell you the content of the test, right? Isn't this an admission of stealing the questions? Looking at the lonely bell in Kushina's hand, Iki was in a dilemma. It is said that there should be two, and the content of the test also depends on the trust and bond between companions. But Kushina obviously didn't think so much, and probably just heard about stealing the bell from Minato. Then now, let the test begin, Kushina announced in a questioning tone. The three boys including Iki were stunned for a moment, and the first one to react was Obito. Then I'm sorry, Sister Kushina. Obito charged directly. Just kidding. In the eyes of the Uchiha's number one genius, the meaning of life is to keep attacking. Call me Master Wife. Kushina just gently placed her fist on Obito's head, and then bang. Uchiha's number one genius, dead. Kakashi, Iki. The two looked at each other, and both saw the signal to retreat in each other's eyes. Damn, this test feels even harder than the graduation test. Minato is very strong. He will test the three boys seriously, leaving some spare energy, while also giving the three of them the greatest pressure. But Kushina is different. Looking at the big bump on Obito's head, it seemed like there was still smoke coming out of it. The two immediately realized that this test was definitely not easy. Iki's head was buzzing. This isn't the way to snatch a bell. Looking at this situation, why does it feel like they have to risk their lives to snatch it? What should we do? Kakashi asked after swallowing his saliva. Perhaps Kakashi himself didn't realize that he had developed the habit of relying on Iki in certain situations, such as this special situation. We can't fight hard, we can't confront head on, we can't. In the end, let's save Obito first. Cover me, Kakashi, Iki said with a stiff face. Although snatching a bell won't lead to the use of a big move, we can't just stand by and watch him die. The two looked at each other, nodded in tacit understanding, and then rushed to Kushina from the left and right. Kushina, who was struggling with whether she had been too heavy-handed, raised her eyebrows after seeing this. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If you still cannot save, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the browser cookies, then log in again, and add the bookshelf. The two little guys came in full force, and Kushina kept thinking. Think about what Minato would do. Well, we must seriously assess it. So Kushina raised her two fists. I will. Kakashi, who rushed the fastest, braked suddenly, touched his ninja tool bag, and shook his wrist. He chose to use the shuriken instead of charging. Then he saw a scene that he would never forget. Kushina's hands were filled with chakra, and her feet didn't even leave the spot, and she directly exposed her bare hands to catch the shurikens. Kakashi fired a total of 10 shots, and Chili caught 2 in one hand and 3 in the other. After catching the shots, she had time to think for a while, and then she clasped her hands together and exerted force. With a bang, the shurikens turned directly into a pile of scrap metal. Gurgle, Kakashi's throat moved, and he suddenly felt dry in his mouth. If he hadn't braked, at this time, Iki's figure had already rushed over. Kakashi panicked, but he instinctively wanted to give Iki a thumbs up. What a warrior. Seeing Yingshu rushing in front of Kushina, it seemed that he would repeat the fate of Obito in the next second. Hello, Master's wife. You are so beautiful today. Yingshu rushed in front of Kushina, bursting with unprecedented desire. Needless to say, this trick really worked. Kushina's fist turned into an orchid finger, and she was about to give Yingshu a headbang with a smile. Sweet mouth. Kushina was ready to put more water, and at the same time she also sighed that educating children was not that simple. But Yingshu did not intend to fight with Kushina. He would rather fight with the root to the death, and whoever escapes will be the grandson, rather than mess with the little pepper. Yingshu suddenly dived, not a physical ground technique, but grabbed the lying dead Obito. Kakashi. Smoke bomb. Yingshu yelled, and Kakashi didn't lose his temper. The smoke bomb was ready a few seconds after Yingshu yelled. Bang. The smoke exploded instantly. Yingshu wanted to take the opportunity to pull Obito away, but a small hand on his shoulder and the huge force from that small hand made him startled. You can't run away, little Yingshu. Kushina's voice was so gentle as a devil in hell. At this moment, Yingshu suddenly thought of a sentence. Angels make themselves look hideous in order to scare the devil. In order to seduce people, the devil becomes the most beloved appearance. Now is not the time to pretend to be smart. Iki gritted his teeth, let go of Obito with both hands, and kicked Obito out with one foot, while forming seals with both hands. Kakashi caught it decisively, but he felt disappointed. How can he fight this wave? By exchanging Obito for Iki. But soon, Iki's voice appeared beside Kakashi again. Run, run, run. Iki, who escaped the sky with the substitution technique, urged frantically. The three young men fled in a panic, and they could vaguely hear a bang behind them. There was no doubt that the wooden stake used as a substitute was probably the one that was killed by Itoki. Kakashi and Iki were in tears. It was a good test, a good bell snatching, but it was so difficult as hell. Hokage. I'll hold Kushina. In the Hokage's office, Minato, who was about to turn into a horror movie in the crystal ball, hurriedly asked for permission, and his forehead was already covered with cold sweat. Forehead. Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned for a long time, looked at the crystal ball, and then looked at the beard in his hand. In the past 2 days, the beard has fallen off a bit fast. That, Minato, Kushina should know her limits. Don't worry too much. If you spoil them too much, it will backfire. Sarutobi Hiruzen is indeed an old man, with a sharp eye, and with one sentence, he threw the three young men of Team 7 into the oil pan. Fry them repeatedly. Minato opened his mouth wide, his expression of astonishment gradually became stagnant. Looking at the three young boys escaping madly in the crystal ball, there is a sentence that Minato doesn't know whether to say or not. Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 40. Konoha is so big, but there is no place for 3 people. Pa. Obito. Wake up. The violent shaking woke Obito up. He felt like something hit his head, it hurt, and his face was burning. What came into his sight was a disgusting beast. Obito was stunned for a moment, but soon entered into irritable mode. Damn. Kakashi, did you slap me? I didn't. Stop talking nonsense. There are only 2 of my body left, and my master's wife is catching up soon. Iki's voice sounded behind him. Obito turned his head, and saw Iki, who was making a seal. Iki made the shadow body seal again. After 2 puffs of smoke, 2 Ikis who were no longer worthy of love appeared. Please, I will eat more tonight, to make up for it. Yingshu shouted to the shadow warriors. The 2 shadow warriors sighed, and made the movements of rolling balls, but the chakra was obviously not enough. Helplessly, the 2 shadow warriors could only walk the short journey with bare hands. Since there is nothing to love, then die. After sending the 2 shadow warriors away, Yingshu immediately jumped lightly, took a branch from a small tree, and drew on the ground. There is a small river in the southwest corner of Park number 1, which is next to the place where we usually practice. We definitely can't cross it. We can only fight together. We have to find a way to run away from there. Yingshu drew a sketch on the ground and pointed to a corner on the map. Are you going to use the water situation to launch a counterattack? Kakashi frowned and asked, then thought of something and looked surprised. Yingshu, you can't have mastered the one that the Hokage gave you. Master your head. Going there is to run away. Yingshu was speechless. Kakashi is usually a very smart person. How come he has become like Obito? Yingshu pointed to the outside of the map and said, Master's wife is very ruthless. Let's forget about the mission of snatching the bell. It's more important to save our lives. Miss Kumi is kind and beautiful. Yingshu doesn't want to make her feel bad. 3. Besides, there is no in Konoha Hospital. If he kidnaps him, wouldn't he be giving himself up? Run down along this river. It won't take long to reach the border of Konoha. If you run along the border for a while, you will reach our Konoha gate. Yingshu's plan is very simple. Fighting. It is definitely impossible to win. That is not passion, it is asking for a fight. In order to grab the bell, it is really not necessary to be hospitalized. In fact, according to the real rules of grabbing the bell, when the two of them rushed back to save Obito, they had already passed the test. Of course, judging from the efficiency of his disappearance and the pain he felt after that, Iki can conclude that Kushina probably doesn't know anything and is chasing them with the intention of teaching them a lesson. It's quite weird to say that what the three of them have to do now is how to save their lives. This world is over. But I think that the Konoha Gate may not be able to stop Master's wife. Besides, after becoming a ninja, you can't leave the village privately, and I'm afraid we can't leave either. Kakashi expressed his concerns, but Iki shook his head. He couldn't say that he knew Kushina was the Ninetales Jinchuriki. He still had this in his heart. At our age, we just need to take off our forehead guards and pretend to go out for a walk. It won't be a big problem. Kakashi's eyes lit up when he heard this, and even Obito reacted and gave him a thumbs up on the spot. Iki, you are amazing. Hokage-sama. Kushina, who was in the crystal ball, used her two brains to solve two Ikis. Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't bear to watch it and quickly switched to the picture of the three young men. The scene of the three people gritting their teeth and running wildly was heartbreaking. No wonder Minato asked to come forward again. Minato, you should know that the purpose of this test is. Sarutobi Hiruzen paused halfway through his words. His habit of flattering his superiors made Sarutobi Hiruzen want to pull back out of habit. But if you think about it carefully, the purpose of the test has been achieved, right? Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid being unable to find it next time. The reckless Obito gave up as soon as he met them, and the way the three chose to deal with it now is to keep running away, obviously giving up the mission. But before giving up the mission, they did not abandon their companions, and the test should have been full marks. Sarutobi Hiruzen secretly thought that it was not good. This time he was pretending too much. He coughed lightly. I wanted Kushina to get more familiar with the kids. In this case, you should go. Minato was overjoyed, and without even a word, he disappeared from the spot, so fast that Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't see Minato's movements clearly. Yo. Has Flying Thunder God improved again? Looking at the faint fluctuations of time and space chakra left in the air, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled with satisfaction. There are the three ninjas in front and Minato in the back, and now the three little guys are so outstanding. There is really no need to worry about the future of Konoha. Iki ran all the way, and the three of them started from three locations in the same direction, but he was the most unlucky one. I don't know what Chili was thinking. She stared at him and chased him madly. So many shadow clones aren't enough for you to beat. Yingshu cursed in his heart while running wildly. It's true that he awakened the sage body, and his chakra is estimated to be 3 to 5 times more than when he graduated. But he can't bear it. He has lost more than 10 shadow clones along the way. The key is to allocate less chakra. Although they will kneel down after a confrontation, they can at least delay some time. He tried to let the shadow clones attack with Rasengan, but it was useless except for consuming chakra. He also tried to let the shadow clones turn into Minato or even Sarutobi Hiruzen, but Kushina still quickly saw the flaws. Fortunately, Yingshu was not far from his destination. Obito and Kakashi were still very loyal and stood by the stream and waved from afar. He didn't evacuate first. It seems that he has been waiting for a long time. Yingshu glanced at Kushina, who was approaching from behind, and sighed. Kushina must have let him win, otherwise with her strength, she would have caught up in a few seconds. But for a Jonin against a Genin, letting him win is far from enough. Can't he learn from Minato? Know when to stop. The timing is just right. Yingshu has thought about using his ultimate move. Although he consumed a lot of chakra, it is not impossible for him to hold back with Kakashi and Obito. But this is not a life and death fight after all. There is no need. Just think of it as returning the favor of that bowl of ramen. Yingshu thought to himself to comfort himself. He waved at the two from a distance and shouted in a hoarse voice, "Run. They will catch up soon." Life was so cruel to the three teenagers. The three of them embarked on a journey of escape again. It was ridiculous that there was no place for the three of them in Konoha, which was really magical. On the other side, Kushina felt that she had found her state. Be ruthless to the shadow clone and let him know the cruelty of the enemy. Be gentle to the original body and let him feel the love of this master. I can't believe that I have the talent to be a teacher. Kushina was full of confidence. She had thought about it. She would also supervise the D-level mission of the three people tomorrow, but at this time, a figure suddenly appeared beside her. It was Minato, who flew over with his feet on the flying thunder god. Minato looked a little flustered, but when he saw that there was no student next to Kushina, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. He put on a doting smile and tried softly, "Kushina, how about little Iki? This trick of yours is useless." When the fist kept getting bigger in front of him, Minato. Kushina, huh? Little son, dead. Warm reminder, if you can't find the book title by searching, you can try searching the author. Maybe he just changed his name. Chapter 41. They are still children after all. The three kids from Team 7 kept running. Following the stream, they entered another forest and were about to see the main road. The Konoha gate wasn't far away, but Kushina didn't seem to catch up. It doesn't make sense, Iki murmured, a little bit unbelievable. The last shadow clone he sent out did last long enough to break today's record. What do we do now? Do we really have to go out? Kakashi looked at the gate in the distance, his eyes full of longing, but more of hesitation. After becoming a ninja, if you leave the village without reporting it, the situation will be serious, as you will be regarded as a traitor. But Iki remained calm. It doesn't matter whether they leave the village or not, as long as they don't get beaten. Kushina didn't hold back, and he didn't want to give Danzo a head for nothing. Stealing the bell is a small matter, but giving Danzo a card is a big matter. Let's go. The master's wife may be lost. If she really wants to find us, it will take only a few minutes, Yingshu said. This is a key point of knowledge, the exclusive ability of the Uzumaki clan. The Kage reminds I. It is said that once the eyes are closed, everything within a 10-foot radius is known. Yingshu concluded that Kushina was lost. When she really couldn't find it, the three of them would get angry and might activate the Kage reminds I at any moment. This made Yingshu sigh again and again. Not to mention, Kushina really taught him a lesson. It's not easy to be weak. I have to practice harder when I go back. Yingshu made a decision secretly. He couldn't give up the research and development of hydrogen escape, and he had to master all those ninjutsu. Even if the research and development cycle of the second stage of hydrogen escape might not be that short, he had to have some ability to protect himself. The three of them immediately set out in the direction of the Konoha gate. Although Kakashi was a little hesitant, he still walked in the team without thinking. In comparison, Obito was a little reluctant. He wanted to wear the forehead protector when taking a shower and sleeping, but today, damn it, I must practice hard when I get back. This is the last time. I will never let anyone force me to take off the forehead protector again. Minato? Are you awake? What's wrong? Are you dizzy? Minato opened his eyes, and Kushina's concerned expression made him ignore the headache. Perhaps this is the power of love. Minato forced a smile and said, I'm fine, Kushina. Kushina breathed a sigh of relief, and her concerned expression immediately turned into a complaint. It's all your fault. Why did you suddenly appear? I thought it was Yingshu's shadow clone. It's my fault. I couldn't dodge in time. It has nothing to do with you, Kushina. The girlfriend is always right, and the one who is wrong is always not good enough. Minato is very thorough in this point. Kushina also reminded him. His three classmates seem to be running now. Kushina, how long have I been lying there? Minato asked. Half an hour, a little faster than last time. Kushina was a little unhappy, because she thought it was because of the shadow clone, so she didn't use much strength. Understand that the fate of being the Ninetales Jinchuriki meant that Kushina could not leave the village at will, with nowhere to vent her strange power. This is why Kushina did not hold back. Of course, Minato's submission also contributed to Kushina's arrogance. Half an hour. Minato rubbed his brows and then gently touched the small bump on his head. His head was a little dizzy, but he could feel the pain, which was really sour. They shouldn't run too far. Kushina, can you try to sense their location? Minato didn't want to think about anything else now. He just wanted to find 3 students as soon as possible and then tell them that Kushina was actually a gentle person. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if the children are scared. But Kushina shook her head. I can't do it. Thank you for your hard work. Huh. Minato was a little confused. About 10 minutes ago, they have left my perception range. Kushina sighed, looking at the bell in her palm, a little frustrated. The children should be very scared of me. Minato wanted to tell Kushina, you think too much, they just don't want to die, there is no other meaning. However, the desire made Minato choose to change his words. You are just too impatient, Kushina. After all, they are still children. It is normal that they can't understand your feelings. Minato turned into a little sun, and the haze in Kushina's eyes immediately dissipated a lot. Now, let's go find them together? Yes. The process of Team 7 walking out of the Konoha gate was not thrilling, but it was not ostentatious either. There was no interrogation, no registration, and all 3 of them were clearly aware of it, with one gaze after another scanning the 3 of them. Not only the Byakugan, but also other perceptive ninjas. The Konoha gate was loose on the outside and tight on the inside, and it was far from being as simple as it looked. The 3 walked for a long distance before Yingshu finally breathed a sigh of relief. It was not like he had not been out of the Konoha gate before. The ninja school had organized a spring outing, and that day he had received a lot of heart-shaped sushi from the female students. The feeling that time was very ordinary, and he even thought for a while that Konoha's defense is sole axe. But as his strength grew, he stepped out of the gate of Konoha again. This feeling of having no secrets was really unpleasant. If the opening is good, it seems not bad. Yingshu thought secretly. But it's just a thought. In Yingshu's ninja world values, the sage body is greater than the Sharingan and greater than cataracts. So, where are we going now? Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. Everyone can try it. After a while, Obito suddenly asked. Kakashi also looked at Yingshu. Obviously, all the dirty and tiring work of making decisions was contracted by Yingshu. Yingshu hesitated for a moment. How about we go to the place where we went on the spring outing? I remember there is a river nearby. We can fry some fish there. I'm so hungry. This proposal was unanimously passed. After being hunted by Kushina for a long time, the physical exertion was very great. The 3 of them immediately found the right direction and set off again, and soon arrived at the destination. The green lawn was fresh and soft, and there was a clear stream not far away. The sun was shining brightly, and the breeze was blowing on their faces. The mood of the 3 boys was much better. The place where the ninja school went on the spring outing was not too far from Konoha. In case of any sudden situation, Konoha could provide support in the first time. But no matter what, it was definitely outside the barrier and surveillance. The evacuated Team 7 planned to replenish and go back when the sun was about to set. Leaving the village without permission would definitely be scolded, but it was better than being beaten. Obito, go find some branches to make a fire. Kakashi and I are going to go fishing. After Iki finished his work, Obito ran to the nearby woods in a flash. Kakashi went into the water to catch fish. Although Iki has caught a lot of fish in the past 6 months, Kakashi is still the best in fishing skills. He just took out a kunai, aimed at a big fat fish in the clear stream, and stabbed it with a swish. Here, Kakashi threw the fish to Iki. That's great, Iki praised. His job was to deal with the fish's internal organs. But at this moment, something strange happened. A shuriken pierced the air with a swish and shot towards Iki's throat. Iki's pupils shrank, and he instinctively grabbed the fish with both hands, and swung at the kunai. The shuriken was very sharp, but fortunately the fish was fat. Iki's strength worked wonders. The fat fish was almost broken in half, and the shuriken was also swung to the ground by Iki. Enemy attack. Iki shouted at the top of his voice, not to alert Kakashi who had already begun to hide, but to alert Obito. The direction where the shuriken shot out was not towards Obito. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 2 more shurikens were fired, all aimed at Iki, this time at a more tricky angle, but from the same direction. Iki did not dare to be careless. He took out a kunai and hit it twice, while his mind was working quickly. He underestimated the enemy. It should be a ninja without helmet. It doesn't look like a ninja from the enemy village. The enemy is in the dark, but I'm in the light. But this is not what Iki is most worried about. Obito just ran away not long ago. Now he is probably in even greater danger. I'll go around and cover me, Iki. Kakashi obviously knew this, and shouted in a deep voice. Yingshu didn't waste any time. He took out a smoke bomb from his pocket, and threw it towards Kakashi's path. At the same time, Yingshu simply pulled down his ninja tool bag, took out the shuriken with one hand, and reached into it with the other hand, and then he started to fire at the enemy. Yingshu's shuriken technique is actually quite good. The old man taught him a lot. He can hit 99 out of 100 targets within 10 meters. Now the enemy is more than 100 meters away. Yingshu can only transform into Zhao and look for Huange online. Damn it. Are you blind? A figure in the jungle cursed secretly. He underestimated the strength of these two little brats. Shoot, a shuriken slashed through the air, and Iki's blind cat actually hit a dead rat, and this shurikens came right in front of the man. Two little brats from Konoha, you're looking for death. The man's eyes turned cold, and he drew his sword, and chopped down the shurikens, then crouched down like the wind, dodging those blind shurikens, but rushed towards the direction of the little white man. Iki and Kakashi soon saw the appearance of the attacker. There was no mask covering his face, but he was wearing a Kumogakure forehead guard, tall and thin, extremely fast, and the sharp sword in his hand was so shining under the sunlight. It was a ninja, a Kumogakure ninja. Kakashi, stay calm. Yingshu shouted and quickly supported Kakashi. Being able to get so close to Konoha, this Kumogakure ninja is obviously not a good guy. Maybe he is a jonin. A month ago, Yingshu and the other two faced Uchiha and were almost wiped out in one encounter. Uchiha was only a chunin, and even if he was ruthless enough, he would not really kill the three. But the current situation is different. The enemy is very likely to be a jonin, and he will definitely kill them. The Konoha front is still fighting with Kumogakure. The situation is critical and extremely dangerous. But the more this is the case, the less nervous Yingshu is in his heart. On the contrary, he is a little excited. In front of others, he can say that he works hard to serve Konoha and win glory for the village. When the old man asks him why he is a ninja, he can also pretend to be for the core of the ninja world. But only Yingshu himself knows. He has always been a down-to-earth person, a simple and unpretentious person, a person who has escaped from vulgar tastes. He works hard to practice not to save his life, nor does he have any lofty ideals. He just wants to use his strength to make the enemy kneel down and sing conquer when he encounters the enemy. At this moment, only fighting is the way. Warm reminder, if you can't find the book title by searching, you can try to search the author, maybe just change the name. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42. Do you think he looks like a dog? Ping. Bang. Kakashi took the sword from the Kumogakure ninja. The force was much greater than he thought. Kakashi had already used all his strength just to take the sword. Then he was kicked hard in the stomach by the Kumogakure ninja and flew backwards. Yingshu arrived in time and caught Kakashi. The two of them took several steps back before they could relieve the force. Why? Yingshu asked quickly. He is very strong and fast, but his swordsmanship is average. It is not ruled out that his ninjutsu may be his strong point, but I'm not his opponent in a head-on fight. I have to seize the opportunity. Kakashi gritted his teeth and rubbed his stomach. The kick just now was not comfortable for him. The enemy in front of him was a bit strong. Ouch. The Kumogakure ninja spat. He was obviously unhappy that his sword was caught. The Kumogakure ninja didn't waste any words. He turned his wrist and attacked again. Slow down, Kakashi. Yingshu calmly formed a seal with an extremely fast hand speed. The chakra condensed into a ninjutsu in an instant. Water style, water link. Bang, bang, bang. Yingshu now has 3 regular combat ninjutsu, Rasengan, Thunder Blast and Water Link. It's a bit too few, but fortunately he is proficient in them. Yingshu quickly launched a counter-attack without injecting Yang style. The advantage is that the number is enough, and the amount is sufficient. turning into a water curtain and pouring out one after another. Oh. The Kumogakure ninja kept moving forward at the same speed, but his eyes were filled with a bit of surprise. He thought they were two Konoha kids playing outside the village, but he didn't expect that they could not only catch his sword, but also use ninjutsu. It seems that they are children of a big family. This time they are lucky. The Kumogakure ninja's mouth drew a cruel arc, and his speed did not decrease. His long sword kept swinging, and he actually rushed forward with the water bullets. Kakashi immediately got ready, with his short sword behind him, staring at the figure in front of him, ready to counterattack at any time. And Yingshu narrowed his eyes, constantly observing and judging the strength of the enemy in front of him. The Kumogakure ninja in front of him was about 172.51 centimeters tall, with dark but healthy skin, and was about 20 years old. Thinking back to the two waves of shurikens that clearly underestimated the enemy, combined with the current reckless handling method, and Yingshu's general understanding of the rules of Kumogakure in the ninja world's jonin. Ignoring the reason why this Kumogakure appeared here, Yingshu speculated that the Kumogakure ninja in front of him should be a chunin, and since he was anxious, he could also be a special jonin. It can't be any taller, otherwise they would have no chance. But even if the opponent is just a chunin, their chances of winning are not great. Seeing that the Kumogakure ninja was getting closer, Yingshu made a quick decision. Kakashi, use that move. That move. Kakashi was stunned. Which move? Yingshu took out the last smoke bomb that the master must have from the ninja tool bag, pointed at the ground, and then smashed it. Kakashi understood instantly, threw away the short knife, and quickly formed seals with both hands. Seeing that the smoke bomb covered the figures of the two little ghosts, the Kumogakure stopped decisively. His eyes were contemptuous, but his body was in a fighting posture and alert. I want to see what you can do. The Kumogakure ninja murmured, showing his confidence. Is it a shuriken? Or is it some ninjutsu that takes some time to perform? The Kumogakure ninja sneered, holding the knife in one hand, fumbled out a few shurikens, and shot them into the smoke. Now, a voice came from the smoke, and then two figures dodged the shurikens from two directions and fled quickly. Ah. Cunning kid. The Kumogakure ninja sneered disdainfully, drew his sword, and chased without saying a word, but stopped, just after taking a step. The smoke was a little thinner at this time, and the quality seemed average. The Kumogakure ninja's eyes stayed on a corner of the smoke. What a coincidence. It was the short sword that Kakashi had thrown away before to make a seal. The Kumogakure ninja smiled silently and looked in the direction of Konoha. Although it was calm, a prolonged battle was not a good choice. You are considered geniuses in Konoha, right? Unfortunately, if this happened on the battlefield, I would have to have some fun with you two genius kids. Warm reminder, this website uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will cause your reading progress to disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. The cloud-hidden ninja taunted, and then his voice became cold and teasing. Come out. Your shadow clone is too crude, and you have an extra one. Do you think I'm a fool? There was no movement in the smoke. The cloud-hidden ninja's eyes became increasingly impatient. He raised his long gun, his eyes turned cold, and he simply rushed directly into the smoke that was dispersing from the temple. But there was no figure of the two little devils in the smoke. The short gun was indeed lying on the ground, but there was no one around. TSK. Transformation Jutsu. The face of the cloud-hidden ninja changed, and he vaguely guessed it. Using transformation jutsu on each other, deliberately using the gun on the ground as a decoy, and then luring me in. Damn little devil. The cloud-hidden ninja's voice was a little angry, but suddenly, his eyes turned cold, the corners of his mouth curled slightly, and he raised his long gun high with the tip pointing downwards, aiming at the empty space under his feet. Just now, that should be what you wanted to hear the most, right? You are so naive, you little brat. The sharp sword pierced directly into the ground. I don't know if it was because the ground was too soft or because the sword was too sharp. The sword went straight into the ground without encountering any resistance, and it went all the way in. TSK. The Union ninja spat again. The touch from the sword told him that he had missed the target, but the ground was empty, which meant that he had made the right bet. The Union ninja secretly breathed a sigh of relief. For a moment, he really thought he had been fooled. At this time, there was another series of movements under the ground. The Kumogakure ninja sneered, raised his sword again, and used his long sword to do piston work at his feet. TSK, so disgusting. Kakashi, do you think he looks like a dog? Well, it's indeed disgusting. Kakashi answered half of the question, because he didn't want to prove that he knew the second half of the sentence. At this moment, Yingshu and Kakashi, who were standing far away on the tree, watched the Kumogakure ninja repeating the action over and over again, with contempt in their eyes. Let's end it. Yingshu took out a kunai with a detonating tag attached to the back. His lips were a little pale, and he didn't dare to have any reservations about letting the shadow clone complete the hydrogen escape on his behalf. But Obito didn't agree, so he could only use this method. Zizzy, the detonating tag began to burn. Whoosh, the kunai cut through the air. The Kumogakure ninja, who was working with the piston, noticed something, looked up, and his pupils shrank immediately. He didn't even care about his eyes, and ran away directly. His reaction was actually quite fast, but it couldn't withstand the precise calculation of the old man. The detonating tag was not able to catch up with the Kumogakure ninja, and it exploded before it even hit him. But before the Kumogakure ninja could breathe a sigh of relief, a hot flame suddenly exploded in front of him with a loud noise. Boom. 2 explosions rang out in quick succession, and the flames of the exploding talisman were instantly engulfed. The Kumogakure ninja never imagined that the exploding talisman was so powerful until he was blown away by the airwave and lost consciousness. He thought the explosion was the power of her exploding talisman. Iki. It's okay. In the distance, Iki's feet were unsteady, and he almost fell down. Fortunately Kakashi held him up. Iki waved his hands. No, it's just a little exhausted. Huh. Iki was halfway through his words, and his expression suddenly became strange, along with Kakashi's. Just heard from afar. Iki. Kakashi. The voice was so sad and hysterical, and the emotion seemed to collapse. The two of them looked up, and forgot about the past. Wasn't it Obito holding a bunch of small branches? Warm reminder, to make it easier for everyone to choose books, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 43 Artwork. As soon as Obito came back, he heard an explosion and an unknown ninja was blown away. Obito realized something instantly. Kakashi and Hideki encountered an enemy. A fight broke out on the scene. The enemy was solved, but the two of them. Don't scare me. The small branches in Obito's arms fell to the ground one after another, and his voice was filled with tears. He ran all the way with a stuttering mouth, and came to the center of the explosion. But who is there here? In addition to the burnt grass, there is also a big pit left by the 2 shadow clones of the old 6. There is no one. The big pit has collapsed, and the air explosion that can almost blow up an adult is no joke. But Obito didn't believe it. With snot and tears, he rushed to the pit and started digging with his bare hands. Iki. Kakashi. Don't scare me. Come out. Iki and Kakashi, who were watching from a distance, were silent. Obito was obviously emotionally broken. The explosion was so intense but no one was seen. He must have thought that they were in danger. But the more this happened, the more they dared not go out. There was no bad and low level idea, just to save Obito's face. If Obito, who is always strong-willed, knew that this vulnerable scene of his was broadcast live, the two of them were really afraid that Obito would be upset. I didn't expect Obito to be quite emotional. Kakashi sighed for a long time, and finally sighed like this. Iki didn't respond. Why did Madara choose Obito? Isn't it for this reason? I have to say that Madara's vision is really sharp. The whole world thought that Obito was the last one, but only Madara saw Obito's potential. Facts have proved everything. The double Magatama turned into Kamu, and the night he opened his eyes, he mastered the wood escape that came with the white Zetsu. The single-eye Kamu launched the Ninja World War, causing the entire ninja world to be in turmoil. Wait. Iki's face suddenly changed. Sharingan? A minute later, Hideki and Kakashi created some noise in the woods for Obito, and Obito thought there were other enemies. He turned his grief into strength, picked up Kakashi's relics and rushed over. When Obito saw Hideki and Kakashi supporting each other, he did not show the stagnation and confusion that the two imagined, but instead launched an attack. "Who do you think you are messing with?" Obito roared. The scarlet in his eyes was so cold, with a manic murderous intent. He picked up Kakashi's short knife and chopped over. "Obito, calm down." Hideki immediately stopped pretending and roared. This voice was full of energy. In addition to the long blue bar of the sage body, the recovery ability is also unique. It's no problem for him to recover a little and maintain normal actions in such a short time. But Kakashi is really weak. He doesn't have a sage body. Seeing Obito slashing at him with his sword, he didn't even have the strength to dodge. In the end, Iki grabbed Kakashi. Obito's short sword almost cut off Kakashi's mask and only took away a small tuft of white hair on Kakashi's forehead. "I'm calm, your grandma's hammer. I'm going to kill you." Obito refused to give in. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading records and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. Yingshu was anxious, but he still calmly rolled out a Rasengan. This was his last chakra, with average power, and he would have no power to resist after rolling it out. "Look carefully, Obito. It's me. I'm your Yingshu." This Rasengan saved Yingshu and Kakashi's life. Obito was stunned on the spot, his mouth wide open and his face sluggish, and then his eyes gradually turned red, and his mouth became shriveled again. Obito. Kakashi, who was still in shock, had a complicated expression. Seeing Obito's expression, as if he was about to cry in the next second, he was full of guilt. But the next second, "I don't believe it." Obito shouted with a crying voice and rushed to Kakashi again. Iki wanted to stop him, but after seeing that Obito had thrown away the short paper, he realized something, breathed a sigh of relief, and sat down on the ground. "Iki, save me." Kakashi, who was ridden by Obito, sent a distress signal, but the account he called was turned off. Obito beat Kakashi up, as if he wanted to vent all his emotions just now. This process lasted for more than 10 minutes. It didn't stop until Obito was exhausted and Kakashi turned into a pig head. The three boys lay on the ground with their arms and legs spread out. I don't know who laughed first, and then the three of them laughed wildly together. "Kakashi, you pig head. Ha 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 ha. You really did it on purpose. Kribabi. Damn. Did you all see it?" "Iki, Kakashi, don't scare me. Damn. Iki, you come too. Damn it. Ah." The three of them rested for nearly half an hour before they arrived at the initial battlefield. There was no horror story of corpse disappearance. The Kumogakure ninja lay motionless on the ground, just like a dead person. If Yingshu had not been in Konoha Hospital before and had not found a faint breath after a quick check, he would have almost thought that the person was blown to death. But even so, the three did not relax their vigilance. First, they stripped off the tattered clothes of the Kumogakure ninja, tore the cloth strips with a kunai, and then tied him up tightly. Yingshu was still worried that the Kumogakure ninja would wake up and explode with great strength to break free, so he wet the cloth strips specifically to let the water fill the gaps between the fibers of the cloth strips to increase toughness, thus highlighting a detail. Don't ask why liberal arts students know so much. The answer is that the 9-year compulsory education is indiscriminate. Yingshu was still worried and wanted to tie up every joint of the Kumogakure ninja. Then he stuffed a detonating tag into the crotch of the Kumogakure ninja. Do you need to be so cruel? Why do I feel that he probably won't wake up? Kakashi looked puzzled. Yingshu looked at the Kumogakure ninja who was almost tied to the artwork and raised his eyebrows. Never mind, this guy's life is not worth anything. Besides, the interrogation department tortures intelligence, and it seems that, as long as the head is left, you know a lot. But I seem to have heard from my dad that it is really like that. By the way, Obito said in a tangled voice, "Are you sure this guy's brain was not blown up?" "Should be, right?" The three of them caught a few more fish by the river. The small branches that Obito picked up earlier were finally put to use. After grilling a few fish and eating them, the three of them rushed to Konoha. At dusk, the sun set. Three young men returned in triumph, their shadows stretched out long. Warm reminder, if you can't find the book by searching the title, you can try searching the author. Maybe he just changed his name. Chapter 44. Waste. What do I need you for? What? The person was found. And they brought back a Kumogakure spy? In the Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was still worried about the missing 3 children, reduced his beard by 1 again. Yes, Hokage. Minato was also at a loss for words. Who could have known that the 3 little guys would dare to run out of Konoha directly to avoid Kushina? What's even more ridiculous is that 3 of them went out and 4 came back. Where are the people? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked anxiously. Minato remembered the miserable state of the Kumogakure ninja when they met, and also remembered his lost hair. Adding the detonating tag on the crotch and the technique that Jiraiya teacher vaguely mentioned, Minato pondered for a moment and said, the 3 children are fine. The root personnel also took over the Kumogakure spies at the first time. Judging from the injuries, they should be not out of danger for the time being. This guy's really fast, and he eats hot food every time. Sarutobi Hiruzen breathed a sigh of relief, but soon thought of something again, and his expression suddenly became serious. Minato, you have to keep an eye on your students during this period, especially when the root and the children are investigating the process of this incident. You have to be present throughout the process, understand? Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly gave a serious order. Minato didn't care, but he nodded anyway. Yes, boss. 5 bowls of special ramen. 1 bowl will be made later, please. Okay. Ichiraku Ramen Restaurant. Kushina smiled, and the 3 boys beside her sat upright. After Ichiraku served 4 bowls of hot ramen one by one, Kushina announced that it was time to start, and the 3 of them started eating like puppets. Eat quickly, you still have to fight for the bell. When you are full, even if you run out of the village, you can't give up halfway. Kushina kindly reminded. The 3 boys were shocked. Today's ramen is a bit bitter. Yingshu felt his left side was touched, and he looked over secretly, only to find that Obito and Kakashi were staring at him cautiously and with burning eyes. It seemed as if they were saying, think of a solution quickly. Yingshu sneered in his heart. Haha, didn't you see that Minato didn't dare to show up? Let him think of a solution? What a hammer. But then again, having Kushina by his side is not a bad thing from a certain perspective. As soon as they returned to Konoha, they were stopped by the ninja guarding the gate. It was easy to go out, but difficult to come back, not to mention that they were carrying a cloud-hidden vegetative person. But what Yingshu never expected was that the first people to come to them were not Minato and Kushina, but a few root ninjas. Yingshu has not found any specific artistic style difference between the masks of the root and the Anbu yet, but he recognized the mask of one of them. It was the one who came to him this afternoon. Thinking about it, today's content is really rich. First, Team 7 debuted, then the root came, and then he was chased by Kushina, and finally he had a battle of wits and courage with the Kumogakure ninja. As Yingshu expected, the root accepted the Kumogakure ninja and planned to complete his task on the spot. The attitude of the root was very tough, and the reason was very reasonable. It said that the 3 people had to cooperate in the investigation. Yingshu naturally refused, using the excuse that the gas at home was not turned off. This was actually a signal to take action. Kakashi drew his sword on the spot, and Obito almost showed off the Uchiha VIP who had just activated the single Magatama Sharingan. 6-year-old Obito was still too reluctant. After all, it was a new long incident, which was considered a joke. Compared to a certain, the atmosphere was very serious at that time. The 3 little kids wanted to rebel against their fate and fight for freedom, and they were about to be taught a lesson. Fortunately, Minato and his wife rushed in time. Kushina said nothing but showed her fists. The root made a prompt decision and retreated directly without even saying a harsh word. A rather die than obey drama was not staged. Then Minato went to report, and Kushina brought the 3 of them here. Warm reminder, if you can't find it by searching the book title, you can try searching the author. Maybe the name has just been changed. What they ordered seemed to be a bowl of ramen, but it was actually the result of the 3 people's resistance and a symbol of freedom. Kushina sat beside them, seemingly ready to smash their heads, but in fact she was a talisman that frightened away all the villains. Sorry, we are late, so late. At this time, Minato's hearty voice rang out, like a breeze, and like a ray of sunshine, illuminating the hearts of the three young men. Guests, your Amanachiraku was quick-witted and a bowl of hot ramen was soon on the table. The first dinner of Team 7 was officially underway. Minato thanked the boss, and was about to start eating, but he saw the three students staring at him eagerly, and he immediately understood something. He smiled slightly, and gave the three of them an expression that said, "Leave it to me. Kushina, look. HMM. Kushina smiled with narrowed eyes, her red hair moving without wind. Haha. Today's ramen smells so good. Haha. The three little boys' eyes changed from hope to frustration, and then to contempt. Waste, what you see you. Just like that, time slipped away quietly during the mixed flavors ramen night. After eating the ramen, Minato paid the bill. Kushina suggested to eat, and the three little ones didn't dare to disobey, so they could only follow behind dejectedly. After eating for a while, Kushina suddenly turned her head. Her expression was very serious. In the future, you are not allowed to run outside without permission, understand? I know. The three little boys said in unison, admitted their mistakes directly, and their attitude was sincere. It's very dangerous outside. Today you met a weaker one and you were able to deal with him, but what about next time? You won't be so lucky every time, understand? I know. The three boys admitted their mistakes again. Also, next time you want to sneak out, you must notify me, so that I can go with you. I can accompany you. In short, I have to be by your side, understand? I know. I will follow the instructions of my master. The three boys expressed their stance. At night, after sending Minato and his wife off, the three of them walked on the street, and they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Life is not easy. There will always be an inadvertent sneak attack, which makes people unable to guard against. Obito, when are you going to tell your clan leader about the opening of your eyes? Yingshu suddenly asked on the way. Obito was stunned. He really hadn't considered this question. Let's do it. It's so early in the morning. What's wrong, Iki? Nothing. Iki said no more. Obito only opened a single Magatama, which may not be a good thing. Everything has two sides. Obito in this time and space has become stronger, but if the Sharingan wants to improve again, it may not be so easy. He can't fake his death again. That would be a test of his acting skills, and after this time, Obito's psychological defenses will be stronger. Forget it. Don't worry about these things for the time being. Iki shook his head and threw away the clutter in his mind. What he has to do now is not other things, but to become stronger and repair the wall. Yes. When Yingshu thought of the two big holes in his home, he felt a little upset. What's going on day by day? Warm reminder, to make it easier for everyone to choose books, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 45. Eye-catching. In the morning, I ate steamed buns that I paid in full for. Iki arrived at the reunion location early. It was about 5:30 now, and the reunion time had not yet arrived, but Iki wanted to practice a little earlier. The second stage of hydrogen escape, the change and fusion of chakra properties, had to be done quickly. Yesterday was very dangerous, using transformation techniques to escape, and experienced ninjas might have sent clones to chase after him. To be honest, even with clones, they would definitely not be able to beat them. It was a gamble, and the bet was on the enemy's IQ. Fortunately, he won the gamble, otherwise Obito might have Manjuki on the spot. In fact, if he could directly launch the second stage of hydrogen escape yesterday, and achieve instant reaction and ignite freedom, then the Kumogakure ninja could not get close to him. He could just throw small hydrogen bombs at the opponent, and who could withstand it? However, mastering the changes in chakra properties is not that simple. The old man said that mastering the changes in chakra properties is actually a process of hammering chakra quality. The more ninjutsu you master, the higher the control over chakra, and you can naturally master the changes in chakra properties. Of course, some people can only master 2 or 3 in their entire lives. For someone like Yingshu who is born with both, his talent is already good. Yingshu thinks it is easy to understand. Chakra imagines life as a pool of water. By controlling the temperature, water can become ice, boil, or even turn into gas. If other variables are added, that is, two types of chakra react at the same time, it can even electrolyze hydrogen or turn into magma. The bloodline limit such as lava escape is based on this principle. But understanding is one thing, and doing it is another. Yingshu now knows that his talent must be good, but he is not arrogant enough to create a bloodline limit at the age of 18, just counting lightning escape and water escape. Adding fire escape, bloodline is eliminated. Let's start with water escape. Take a deep breath, recall the contents of the scroll, mobilize chakra, and make hand seals. Iki decided to complete the small goal of becoming a sea-style ninja before becoming the ambassador of nuclear peace. Even if he couldn't do sea-style, he had to become a river-style ninja. Water-style, water dragon bullet. Just after 8 o'clock, the sun went to work. Obito and Minato arrived one after another, and Kakashi was almost late. At first, Iki was so absorbed in the practice that he even felt a little dizzy and didn't react. But when he saw Kakashi apologize to Minato, he was immediately shocked. Obito was not late. He could understand that women always affect the speed of getting up. But Kakashi almost arrived late. This is a bit magical. Yingshu secretly observed Kakashi, and sure enough, something was wrong. The dead fish eyes found the soul again, but Kakashi lost it. It seems that the teeth are closed again. Yingshu sighed in his heart. He had predicted it long ago. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. The teammate who saved his life not only did not feel grateful, but joined the army of saliva. This was a big blow. But then again, the problem is still with Kakashi. The weakness of the teeth is not the glass heart, but his big brother. Kakashi, after the mission is over today, Obito and I will go to your house to buy some supplies and settle the money we paid during this period. Yingshu found an excuse and patted Kakashi on the shoulder. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. He originally wanted to ask Minato for advice, but considering that Minato is right next to him, he always has to consider his feelings. Kakashi, who was still in a state of panic, didn't react at first. It doesn't matter whether it's money or not, just take it. The generous Kakashi didn't think too much. But Obito next to him was a little proud. I won't wait. The clan leader wants to personally teach me how to practice. You know, as the #1 genius of Uchiha, I always, wait for me. D-level tasks are always complicated and simple. Helping the old man to repair the tree, Kakashi and Iki only took half a day to finish it. As for the #1 genius of Uchiha, he was able to stand on the tree parallel to the ground and work hard. Of course, Obito also has work to do. Clearing branches is his job. In the afternoon, around 4 o'clock, Team 7 finally got their first pot of gold. The 6,000 teals of bonus. Minato didn't take any of it, and the three of them each got 2,000 teals. Kakashi said he felt it was okay, although it was a little. After all, he earned it himself. But Iki and Obito couldn't stay calm. Iki, hit me quickly, am I dreaming? 2,000 teals in half a day, my god. Obito was shocked and counted the money over and over again, and each time he felt that the number was too much, and the cycle repeated. TSK. 2,000 teals, look at what you have become. Iki, who also counted the money, expressed his disdain for Obito's company. At 4:30, Iki followed Kakashi back home. I'm back. Father, there are guests. Kakashi greeted them normally. I'm coming. A middle-aged man's voice came from inside. It was different from what Iki imagined. It was very cheerful, not as gentle as Minato's. His voice was a little thicker, but it gave people a sense of security. Then, Iki's eyes widened. A burly middle-aged man with silver hair and a ponytail appeared in a hurry. He was 70.08% similar to Kakashi. He had a smile on his face and looked very cheerful, like a neighbor uncle. It was okay if you only looked at the face, but something was wrong below the neck. Wearing an apron, holding a kitchen knife in the left hand and a spatula in the right hand. The most annoying thing is the pattern on the apron, which is a Shar-Pei dog with a pink headdress. It is cute and generous, but a bit eye-catching. Fortunately, there are clothes instead of muscles behind the apron of Yingshu. Otherwise Yingshu would have to wash his eyes on the spot. I'm Kakashi's teammate, Yingshu. Please take care of me on this first meeting. Yingshu bowed and rested his eyes at the same time. Ha 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 ha. Don't be polite, don't be polite, little Yingshu. I often hear Kakashi mention you. You are a reliable partner. Yiha laughed loudly, and there was no sign of suicide due to a fragile heart. Kakashi, take little Iki home to have some rest, wash your hands, and get ready for dinner. Dad prepared grilled fish for you today. Ruga hummed a little tune that Iki couldn't understand and left. Kakashi, who looked calm, and Iki, who looked calm and expressionless, were left behind. Let's go, get the ninja tools. Kakashi called. Yeah. Iki was very puzzled. Kakashi wouldn't be depressed even with Ruga like this? Could it be that something happened that he didn't know about? Not. When he bought the buns this morning, he heard a lot of complaints. Forget it, let's take it one step at a time. Iki suppressed the doubts in his heart and followed Kakashi forward. Warm reminder, to make it easier for everyone to choose books, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 46. Sorry, I can't be happy. Iki is so concerned about White Fang, not only to help Kakashi, but also for some selfish reasons. Root. Based on Iki's understanding of Danzo, this is a man who will not stop until he achieves his goal. He would rather die than destroy the root. It's a bit exaggerated. Anyway, he doesn't want to bow to the evil forces unless it is absolutely necessary. Iki also knows this is definitely not a long-term plan. In Danzo's eyes, there is no egg that is flawless. Kushina and Nagato can protect him for a while, but there will always be a time when they can't take care of him. When the time comes, he will be locked up in the small dark room of the root, and various seals and restrictions will be imposed on him. Then there will be various brainwashing whips, or he will be tempted with money, beautiful women, and even forbidden techniques, to force him to fall, surrender, and be unable to stop. In short, he has been targeted by the root, and is forced to be passive. If he doesn't want to be passive, wants to resist, and wants to be dominated, he will have to think of some ways. White Fang is also targeted by the root. There is no reason for Yingshu to let go of such a natural ally and thigh. Bring more smoke bombs, I think we will use them a lot. At this time, Kakashi suddenly spoke up, interrupting Yingshu's thoughts. Okay. Yingshu put it directly into the ninja tool bag, which is all money. On the other hand, he asked Kakashi cautiously, well, Uncle White Fang, has he always been like this? Kind? Kakashi's body stiffened for a moment, as if the smoke bomb in his hand had lost power. My mother passed away early, and he was busy with his mission at the time, so whenever he was at home, he was basically like this. Kakashi turned his head and seemed to be holding a kunai with his other hand. Iki knew how miserable Kakashi's expression was without even looking. Okay, it's good. Iki actually wanted to tell Kakashi that the most important thing in life is to cherish. What made him wonder was, if White Fang was in a normal state, why was Kakashi so depressed? He should be used to it, right? With doubts in mind, Yingshu tied a ninja tool bag on his left leg and his right leg respectively, and came to the dining table of the Hatake family. Baiya took off the eye-catching apron, and the whole person was instantly different, with a burly figure, thick shoulders, wise eyes and a hearty smile. If he brought a knife and showed a bit of murderous aura, it would taste even better. Let's eat, little Yingshu, don't be shy, just treat this place as your own home. If possible, I want you to move in here. Ha 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 ha. Okay, I'm starting. Baiya prepared grilled fish for dinner. Although he didn't predict that Yingshu would come in advance, judging from Baiya's appearance, he should have prepared a lot of fish. Yingshu and Kakashi ate slowly. White Fang was not in a hurry to eat, but kept staring at Yingshu with curiosity. Yingshu was afraid of embarrassment, so he could only keep eating. But suddenly, when Yingshu glanced at Kakashi beside him, he found that Kakashi was in the same state as him. Yingshu seemed to understand something. Is there a possibility Kakashi's depression is not because White Fang showed any signs of depression? Is it because his father stayed at home for too long? Perhaps for a child, the most uncomfortable thing is that his omnipotent father stays at home as a house husband all day, leaving White Fang in the dust. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will cause your reading progress to disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf to prevent you from losing the novel you are reading. Zio Yingshu. At this time, Yuya spoke. Here, Uncle Naga. I heard from Kakashi that you developed a combination ninjutsu that is quite powerful. It's a pity that I couldn't personally attend your graduation ceremony. Iki knew that his chance had come, so he immediately put down his chopsticks and said seriously, I just put forward an idea. To activate the ninjutsu, it depends on the concerted efforts of the three of us. Kakashi on the side also raised his head, but Iki continued his speech. Thanks to my two good companions, Kakashi's lightning style and my water style are very compatible. Obito is our other teammate. He also has a good control of the timing of fire style. The three of us have a very good understanding. No, you are too modest, Zio Yingshu. Jigga waved his hand and said, understanding and bond can be cultivated slowly, and it is not everyone who can think of the concept you put forward. You are a genius, kid. Jigga's words were mostly sincere, and there was no courtesy. After all, this man is a man with a vision that can compete with Madara. Madara bet on Obito, Jigga bet on K, and K almost kicked out the finale with one kick. The result is self-evident. However, Iki heard something else. Bonds are slowly formed, which means it only takes a moment to break. Has Kiba started to be disappointed with Konoha? Iki thought to himself, and felt more and more that his guess was right, but this did not delay the operation on his face. With a big disappointment on his face, Iki sighed. So, even Uncle Kiba thinks so. As soon as these words came out, coupled with Iki's melancholy temperament, they immediately attracted the attention of Hatake father and son. Kiba didn't understand. This kid seemed to have intentions. Kakashi was also a little puzzled. Iki, you are such a pretentious person. Are you off topic? At this time, Iki sighed again and began to perform. Everyone seems to think that what I did is amazing. Uncle Naga is the same, and Elder Danzo is the same. In fact, without Kakashi and Obito, this combination of ninjutsu cannot be done. Alas. Iki picked up the juice on the table, raised his head, and drank it all. He was unwilling to fail in his ambition, and looked up at the sky and sighed. After these words came out, Kakashi was stunned. He thought he knew Iki well enough, but he didn't expect that today's grilled fish would let him see Iki so pretentious, so emotional side. As for Jigga, the cheerful smile of the uncle next door on his face gradually froze. Those two words made Jigga's eyes cold. Yingshu's carefully designed words came out unintentionally, and they worked. The efforts of our companions should not be covered up. You are right, little Yingshu. Jigga smiled and picked up the juice on the table and drank it all. In short, it lacked a bit of taste. He seemed to fill himself up casually and said, however, even a big man like Danzo praised your talent. You should feel happy. Jigga's tentative test made Yingshu feel that his fish hook was bitten, and the bite was very strong. It was a big fish. Sorry, Uncle Naga, I can't be happy. Yingshu replied immediately, with a red drunk face, looking somewhat excited. Danzo wants me to enter the route, but the prerequisite is that I break off my relationship with Kakashi and Obito. I can't do it, and I don't understand why Kakashi and Obito are working hard, but Danzo can't see it. Now that it has come to this, I hope you have some ideas in your heart, Mr. Hatake Tsukumo. As soon as you die, Danzo will immediately trick your son into the route. He also asked your son to kill the Sandame. If you don't want your son to say anything, just cooperate with me honestly. Don't play tricks, otherwise I will sell Kakashi to Danzo in a minute. Yingshu was roaring crazily in his heart. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf to prevent losing the novel you are reading. Chapter 47, Root, Blossom. 8 o'clock in the evening. Despite Beiya's strong persuasion, Yingshu still resolutely chose to go home and sleep. His wall has not been repaired yet, and he just taped it up to make it a temporary window. If a thief sets his sights on his house, it will be bad. After walking for a while on the mountain road, he passed a ghost garden. The grandfathers and grandmothers in the ghost garden were exercising, which made Yingshu think about exercising in the evening. Today's exercise volume is average, and he didn't practice water escape much. Although the root resistance plan has made some progress, Beiya's feedback is positive and it still needs to continue working hard. Yingshu also knows that a good ironsmith must be strong himself. 8:30, training ground number 3. This is not the nearest training ground to Ikki's home, but Ikki still came here, but unfortunately the old man was not there. Ikki was not slow in making seals, and he had surprisingly many seals for water Ryuden, and it seemed that there were several versions. The old man gave him 25 seals, and Sarutobi Hiruzen's was better, with 21 seals, which was considered streamlined. Ikki couldn't tell if he didn't look carefully. I just wonder why Sarutobi Hiruzen had 44 seals for water Ryuden, and Kakashi on the opposite side didn't do the same, which was embarrassing. What Ikki is using now is the refined version of water Ryuden given to him by Sarutobi Hiruzen. There are 2 activation modes, mobilizing the surrounding water flow to condense into a water dragon, and spraying out a water dragon with one's own chakra. Yingshu certainly disdains to borrow the power of water. The Senju clan has the glory of the Senju clan. He wants to do it himself. According to the chakra operation method remembered in his mind, Yingshu steadily formed hand seals and mobilized chakra. The process went smoothly and felt good. Yingshu's eyes lit up and felt that there was a chance. Water style water dragon. Damn. Yingshu spit out a lot of saliva from his mouth. The last link was still wrong after all, which directly consumed more than 20% of Yingshu's chakra. Why don't you go home and sleep so late at night? What are you doing? Yingshu looked at the 2 guys in his field of vision unhappily. They were of average height and estimated to be around 11 years old. The key point was that they suddenly appeared and then stared at him intently, like a ghost, which made him confused and state the tragedy of Obito that day. Damn, it almost worked, again. Yingshu was unhappy, but the training ground was closed, and he turned around to continue. However, due to the field of vision, there were also 2 half-grown children, staring at him intently. Yingshu was no longer willing to face it, and had to temporarily put down his water escape practice. He looked behind, and to the sides, and sure enough, he was surrounded. There were 8 people in total, all of them were half-grown children of 11 years old, without helmets, and with ninja tool bags tied to their legs. Yingshu concluded that they must be all ninjas, because the current ninja school is still a 3-year school. As for not wearing helmets, anyway, their purpose must be bad. Is this Uchiha's people? A group of people? Yingshu looked around for the figure of his cousin Uchiha Katakage. He remembered that Uchiha Rie had said harsh words. Speaking of which, Danzo has to blame for this. Their efforts in bringing back the Kumogakure ninja may have been suppressed. There may be rewards, but few people probably know the news. Otherwise, the Uchiha would not dare to trouble him. Suddenly, a figure appeared, wearing the familiar root mask, which made Yingshu react immediately. Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. It's the root. Yingshu's expression suddenly became serious. The persistence of the root exceeded his expectations. It has come to him 3 times in 2 days. But the key. Are you serious about calling such a group of people who don't even have masks? Yingshu curled his lips and rounded it off. This wave was stable. Then, under Yingshu's gaze, the older boys surrounding him came over, and as they walked, they all put on masks. Ikki was speechless. What was going on? Jen and Ikki, I'm here on behalf of the elder Danzo of Konoha village. The root came over, his tone still cold, but Ikki could hear a calmness that he hadn't heard in the previous 2 times. He was sure to win. Ikki regretted being reserved in front of White Fang. He should have stayed at his house overnight. But he wasn't too worried this time when he went to Kakashi's house to purchase goods. In addition to a bunch of ninja tools, White Fang also asked Kakashi to give him a few signal bombs before leaving. In White Fang's words, it's better to be prepared. The next time he goes out of the village, he must make sure to contact the village as soon as possible. At that moment, White Fang showed the demeanor of an Anbu captain. Kakashi's dead fish eyes turned into starry eyes on the spot. His daddy complex was confirmed. Iki watched the encirclement getting smaller and smaller. One hand was placed on the ninja tool bag, and his eyes were fixed on the root ninja, but he showed an innocent smile, full of excitement and hope. Really? Did Lord Danzo agree to my request? Kakashi and Obito can also join the root ninja. One is the son of the root's biggest target now, and the other is a member of the Uchiha clan. Elder Danzo thought, how could it be that easy? My answer is the same as yesterday. Iki is a genin. The root ninja replied lightly, his eyes unmoved, and even colder. Also, don't act like this. You weren't like this when the gas was not turned off yesterday. Iki shrugged and stopped pretending. He laid his cards on the table. Then my answer is the same. If you want me to get the root, you have to let Kakashi and Day. You don't have to answer in a hurry. The root ninja interrupted Iki. Elder Danzo said that you have the power to refuse, but this power can only be effective after you have learned the true root. Iki choked. I don't know if this is Danzo's original words, but what he expressed is indeed Danzo's style. If you don't understand the root, you can't not get the root. You must get the root and then understand the root before you can refuse to get the root. Is there nothing to talk about? The root can only go in but not out. Once you are a root for life, unless Sarutobi Hiruzen personally rescues you. But Iki is not arrogant yet. He doesn't think Sarutobi Hiruzen will turn against Danzo for a commoner like him. This is not the 3.5th generation period. The two have a good relationship. He can't reveal his identity as a member of the Senju clan. This identity will only make him more dangerous. So, can I choose not to understand? Iki wanted to make a final attempt, but in fact, one hand had already grasped the signal bullet. But the root ninja sneered and flashed backwards. As he did this, the 8 older boys took out their roots and took out their own kunai at the same time. The air was filled with murderous aura and the swords were drawn. You can pick a group of opponents from among them. Only after you defeat them, you will have the freedom to choose. This sentence made Yingshu drop the signal flare. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf to prevent you from finding the novel you are reading. Chapter 48. How dare you show off your skills in front of an expert? The mighty water dragon bomb. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Yingshu chose one of the groups according to his intuition, shooting with his shuriken while keeping his distance. Sure enough, the root boys in other directions all dispersed, but only blocked Yingshu's escape route. Yingshu did want to run, but not now. The 2 boys dodged the shuriken respectively, and then one rushed up with a kunai in hand, while the other one formed a seal on the spot. Ouch. Yingshu spat. It had always been the 3 of them who cooperated to beat others in a group, but they never thought that they would suffer retribution today. If they fought the enemy in close combat, they had to worry about the ninjutsu behind them, and if they retreated blindly, they would fall into passivity. Yingshu made a quick decision. He had to play to his strengths. Water style, water barrage. Bang 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 bang. Yingshu quickly formed seals with both hands, so fast that he almost wanted to rub sparks from his fingers. The water bullet rushed out, almost as soon as it was condensed. The attack frequency and coverage range were both high standards. Yingshu now had sufficient chakra, and he had to play to his strengths, and avoid his weaknesses. Earth escape, earth flow wall. But at this time, the seals on the hands of the root boy behind him suddenly changed, and he supported the ground with both hands. Almost at the same time as Yingshu counterattacked, the ground shook slightly, and a wall of earth suddenly rose up. Although it seemed to have no soul without the dog head, it blocked all of Yingshu's water bullets. Yingshu's face darkened. He now wanted to ask if he could choose his opponent again. This is clearly a prepared plan. Puff. Yingshu finished the ninjutsu and formed a seal again. A shadow clone appeared, rolled out a Rasengan in half a second, and rushed towards the earth wall. Boom. The earth wall finally broke under the heavy weight, but the shadow clone also dissipated. Yingshu frowned. Just from the feedback of the shadow clone, he didn't even know how it disappeared. When Yingshu saw the earth spikes on the earth wall gradually retracting, he finally understood. Both are earth escape ninjas. One has a dojiki and the other has a dojiraku, a combination ninjutsu. This really taught Yingshu a lesson. Combination ninjutsu is not his specialty, and even ninjutsu of the same attribute can be perfectly combined. For example, now, the earth flow wall is equipped with anti-armor, which is both offensive and defensive. Yingshu couldn't help but look at the other three groups of root boys. If nothing unexpected happens, they also have similar cooperation. Don't show that expression. They are just trainee ninjas of the root, forming a temporary team of 2, and the running in time is less than 2 days. The voice of the root ninja sounded behind him, and he actually gave a live explanation. As I said before, the battlefield of the root is more advanced. Compared with the usual massacre, we will make full use of some unique factors. The enemy's habits, the enemy's weaknesses, and even the enemy's bonds. The root is an elite team that emphasizes efficiency and cooperation. Your 2 teammates do have a high degree of tacit understanding with you, but in the eyes of the root, it only takes one plan to defeat each of you. Just like now, all your ninjutsu has been exposed since the seal, and they will immediately carry out restraint tactics, suppress and counterattack. This is the root. This is showing off, absolutely showing off. Yingshu must be unconvinced in his heart, but he has to say that the root's set is indeed very efficient. Yes, he believes the words of this root ninja. But this does not mean that he will give up. Root, what a great ability. If my master's wife gave you this, would you still dare to brag like this? Yingshu sneered in a deep voice, and the voice behind him instantly became silent. But Yingshu is not just planning to be tough in words. What he is going to do next will be very cruel. It may be a bit risky, not to mention whether it can be successful, but even if it succeeds, it will only deepen Danzo's greed for him. Yingshu began to make seals with both hands. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. At the same time, the root ninja behind him suddenly yelled, "Interrupt him." It's a bit unethical, but Yingshu didn't care. He found out that the purpose of this root ninja was to mess with his mentality. Regardless of whether he can win the fight or not, this process itself is a manifestation of joining the root. In the end, it is estimated that they will still have to use force on him. He has already seen through everything. Swish, the 2 root young men attacked again, with an incredibly fast speed, one on the left, and one on the right, and both of them formed seals with both hands at the same time, and the seals were the same. This inevitably makes people wonder whether the 2 are going to work together to launch a big move, or a feint attack and a main attack with one real and one fake. Huh. Yingshu sneered. You dare to show off your tricks in front of an expert? Question mark? Water style, water dragon bullet. Yingshu roared with full momentum, combined with the series of seals he had just made. The 2 root youngsters' eyes fixed, and they immediately supported the ground with their hands. Earth style, multiple earth flow wall. The 2 said in unison, the so-called multiple earth flow wall is not as simple as 1 + 1. It's 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. A total of 4 earth walls blocking Yingshu. However, the water dragon that was supposed to come did not appear. Yingshu's mouth was wide open, revealing his big white teeth. I'm sorry, Hokage-sama just gave me this technique, and I haven't had the time to practice it, but thank you for your trust. The root ninja's face suddenly turned extremely livid. This was the second time he was fooled. Along with Yingshu's ridicule, 3 consecutive puff sounds were heard, and Yingshu's trick began. The first 2 sounds were shadow clones with double yellow Rasengan, and the last sound was a smoke bomb of Volt 6. Yingshu's advantage is not the amount of chakra, nor the hydrogen escape and Rasengan, but as always, his brain. Konoha Old 6, transform. Surround him. The root ninja made prompt decisions, and carved the 4 characters no martial ethics on his mask. The remaining 6 root members immediately surrounded him in the smoke. However, they did not attack, obviously worried that Yingshu would escape. The root took over the Kumogakure ninja, and after confirming his identity, they went to the scene to investigate immediately. They had a certain understanding of the tactics used by Yingshu and the other two at that time. At this moment, Yingshu was alone and could not complete that combined ninjutsu. In the eyes of this root ninja, he was going to run away. I said, "You have no right to leave before you defeat them." The root ninja sneered. The two Earth Escape Masters also showed the results of their training at this time. With the cooperation of each other, Yingshu's two shadow clones quickly disappeared. The two looked at each other, and without hesitation, they rushed into the smoke. But at this moment, Yingshu's voice rang out in the smoke. I also said, "Don't show off your tricks in front of an expert. Look at my powerful water dragon bullet." Ha. The root ninja sneered. After all, he's still a little brat, always. Ha. I saw a majestic azure water dragon suddenly roaring out from the smoke. The water dragon roared and raged, and the 6 root ninjas around it, including the 2 who just rushed over, had no time to react at all. As soon as they met, they were swept away by the water dragon. This is not over yet. The water dragon collided and staggered up again, and began to dissipate in the process, but it still rushed towards the root ninja. "You dare to attack me? Do you know what the consequences are?" Question mark. The root ninja roared, but his body still honestly formed the seal of the substitution technique. Yingshu did not answer, but silently took out 2 detonating tags, attached kunai, and shot them in 2 different directions. "You guys are such a nobody, and you still want me to join? It would be better if I could be the leader." Trash. Yingshu was merciless in words, but his body was more honest. He said harsh words and ran away. At this moment, in the shadows, an old man wearing a cheap mask sold at a roadside stall was watching all this silently. "Damn brat." The old man chuckled and looked away from the water dragon that hit the stand-in wooden stake and the root ninja who had just landed and was about to face the explosion. He raised his head and looked at the bright moon in the sky. "It really looks like you." Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. Everyone can try it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49. Finally living like Obito. 9 o'clock in the evening. Iki, who didn't dare to go home, wandered on the street, with the cold wind blowing. Well, I exaggerated. It's not necessary to wander on the street, and it's summer now. Iki was mainly hungry, and he had just consumed too much energy. Great force works wonders. He used up a lot of chakra, and he really used water style, water dragon bullet. And it's not that Iki didn't dare to go home. The root seemed to be lawless and extremely arrogant, and their behavior today was definitely less about catching him than showing off. The root is different from the Anbu, and they both pay attention to efficiency. It would be more efficient to just capture him and bring him back to the root, and then show the strength of the root. So Iki came to the conclusion Danzo had taken a fancy to him, the kind that was drooling over him, and they didn't dare to rob him blatantly. Of course, if he hadn't won today, or hadn't been able to escape, that might have been another story. Danzo, the final right of interpretation belongs to me. Ichiraku ramen. Boss, give me a regular, give me a supreme set meal. Iki, who was used to being poor, suddenly remembered that he still had 3,900 taels of silver in his pocket, so he imitated Kushina and spent money lavishly. How many days are there in this month? His living expenses seemed to have the ability to reproduce, and he would be sorry for himself if he didn't squander them. Okay, wait a moment, little customer. Ichiraku was very enthusiastic. Speaking of which, Ichiraku is now 20 years old, and it's time for him to get married. Iki is considering whether to give a gift. Maybe he can get a lifetime 20% discount coupon and make a small profit. While waiting for noodles, Yingshu, who was working hard every second, was in a daze. But the noodles hadn't arrived yet, and 2 new customers came to the store. "Hey, what would you 2 little guests like to eat?" "Oh, Master Asuma is here too. Come and sit down. What would you like to eat?" "Master Asuma?" 2 bowls of supreme ramen. Ichiraku was even more enthusiastic. So enthusiastic that Yingshu felt the difference in treatment between ordinary members and supreme VIPs. It can only be said that Ichiraku had not yet stood firm in his youth, or was he bent over by the pressure of life. Yingshu ended his days and turned around to see a little girl who was trying hard to jump onto a chair and a spirited young man with a toothpick in his mouth. A small bowl is fine, boss. A smap. Don't do this anymore. I have money. Also, don't follow me anymore. Yingshu. Why are you here? What a coincidence. The little girl was Yuhi Hong, and she was a little surprised to suddenly find Yingshu, blinking her red eyes. Quite cute. Hello, Hong. Yingshu was about to greet her politely. Why are you here? Yingshu was interrupted, and the other party didn't look very friendly. This made Yingshu a little confused. From his god's perspective, Asuma seemed to have pursued her only after he became an adult, but the ending was not very good. But now it seems Asuma is planning something far-reaching. But that's none of his business. Even though he knew that Han would grow up to be a beautiful girl, he really couldn't be interested in little girls now. It's nothing, he just learned not to. Although he has no interest in little girls, he is very interested in Asuma, a spirited young man. I have a mission today, and I just finished it, and haven't eaten yet. Yingshu replied with a smile, and then pretended to lower his head. Be careful, Han, there are mosquitoes. Chasing away mosquitoes is a lie, but lowering your head to use the smooth forehead guard, and using the light refraction to accurately blind Asuma's dog eyes is a big deal. Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and reading background color in the upper right corner of the page. Yingshu, after all, has become like Obito. Asuma, ***. The shining light. Han. Iki is so considerate. 3 bowls of supreme ramen, feel free to eat, little girl. The ingredients for tonight are just enough for 3 bowls. It would be a pity to waste them. I will only charge you for the small bowls. Be careful, it's hot. Please enjoy. Under Iki's gaze, Ichiraku showed his unparalleled emotional intelligence. First, he took care of Asuma's face with the price, and then he was very knowledgeable when serving ramen. 3 bowls of noodles on a plate. The little girl went first, and then Iki and Asuma were on the left and back, regardless of order. With the eyes of an adult, Yingshu secretly gave Ichiraku a thumbs up in his heart. You are worthy of being called Comrade Otsutsuki Ichiraku. It is said that 1 bowl of water cannot be carried, but Ichiraku carried 3 bowls of ramen with great strength. I'm starting. Yingshu decided to make a quick decision and go home to sleep. He would not argue with Asuma tonight. But the energetic young man Asuma obviously did not appreciate it. He looked at Yingshu and then looked at him with envy. The demeanor of the highest official of Konoha was immediately revealed. He just slapped a mosquito and ate without washing his hands. Humph, how unhygienic. Han, you better stay away from him. Yingshu, who was slurping noodles. I just used a powerful water dragon bullet to defeat 9 people alone. Are you sure you want to provoke me? Believe it or not, I will make it up. Yingshu was about to lower his head to shoo away mosquitoes again, but at this time, the little girl was not happy. How can you say that? Yingshu was just helping me to shoo away mosquitoes. You are too much. Yingshu, slurp, today's ramen is so delicious. Asuma, who was stunned for a long time. 3. Yingshu is still happily slurping noodles. Meanwhile, at the root base, the darkroom was only lit by flickering candles, and Danzo's shadow kept swaying, which was somewhat eerie. Sir, we failed. The ruthless root ninja knelt on one knee, followed by only 2 root boys. Original. Danzo, who was used to checking scrolls in the shadows, narrowed his eyes, but never looked at his subordinates. He has mastered B-level ninjutsu, water-style water dragon bullet. I was careless. A lot of the past was deleted, but combined with the aging past of the mission target, a carelessness could explain a lot. B-level ninjutsu, how long did it take? Danzo asked without even looking up. 30 hours, but the actual training time will not exceed 5 hours. The genin answered quickly and accurately, and it was obvious that he had done his homework. 5 hours? Danzo finally put down the scroll and looked at his subordinates, and the wolfish look was finally in his sight. It can be seen that Danzo was a little surprised. As a disciple of the first generation of C-release ninja, he knew too well how difficult that technique was. Although the teacher had simplified the 4 seals to launch, except for the teacher, most people took a long time to master the complicated seals when they first started. However, Danzo was not shocked for too long. Only the weak will be dominated by emotions, and the strong use their time to think of countermeasures. Prepare 3 scrolls of water-style ninjutsu commonly used by the previous generation. At the same time, activate the Miko and contact the target. Tell her, as long as the target can join the route willingly, then I will agree to her request to retreat. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 50 Water Style, Spiral Water Ball. Kakashi was in a good mood that day. His father disappeared early in the morning, but he prepared a meal for him and left a small note. Dad, I have to go to work. I may be busy recently. You can arrange lunch and dinner yourself. Dad's concern was as superficial as always, but what made Kakashi really happy was that Dad finally cheered up. Kakashi actually knew better than anyone that, although Dad looked fine, the failure of this mission and the negative evaluation of him by the village still affected him. White Fang, it has been a long time since he unsheathed, but now he is fine. Dad has regained his spirits. I believe it won't be long before the omnipotent Dad will be back. After finishing breakfast, Kakashi carried his high-end imitation White Fang on his back and went out. He had to go with Minato Sensei to receive a new mission the next day. They walked along the mountain road, through the park, and passed by the noisy streets. Kakashi could still hear people talking about his father, but he didn't care anymore. Yes, it's not a habit, but he doesn't care. Misunderstandings will always be resolved, and life has to go on. Kakashi finally arrived at the gathering place, Konoha's #1 park. This is the largest park in Konoha, close to the Hokage building and the Shinobi Academy. Soon, Kakashi saw Iki sitting on a stone in the corner of the park. Iki arrived early as always. This habit of being absolutely punctual is something that Kakashi even feels inferior to. Good morning, Iki. Kakashi's greeting was only half finished because he found that Iki was very serious at the moment. He still held the bun in his mouth, unaware of the oil and saliva flowing down, and looked down attentively. In his hand, there was a ball of chakra trying to condense. Kakashi raised his eyebrows. He felt that it was a Rasengan, but he always felt that it was not. What is he doing? Kakashi murmured. Isn't Iki's Rasengan a stun gun? At this time, a gentle and familiar voice also appeared beside Kakashi's ears. He's transforming his chakra. To be specific, he's trying to use water jutsu in the form of Rasengan. Kakashi was startled and turned around quickly. Good morning, teacher. Hush. Minato motioned for silence and lowered his voice. Let's not disturb him. Let him. Hey. Good morning, teacher Minato. Kakashi, you're here early too. You're not late at all. Ha 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 ha. Hedgehog head Obito waved and came, cheering up the whole audience. Kakashi's face darkened. Minato's smile froze on his face, and he quickly looked at Iki inside. It's over. The chakra ball in Iki's hand popped and scattered. Minato was right. It was indeed a chakra water ball, and the water splashed directly on Iki's face, causing Iki to tremble. Seeing this, Minato flashed to Iki's side with a whoosh, and the speed made Kakashi secretly shocked. Obito shook his head, and his intuition told him that he seemed to be in trouble. What's going on? Kakashi rolled his eyes. Nothing. Great genius. You're just too good. Huh. Obito looked at Kakashi with suspicion. You knew? No what? Of course it's such a hijaker's declaration of war. Wait, you don't know? Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the browser's cookies, then log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. How should I know what's going on in Uchiha? TSK. TSK. Kakashi and Obito are still arguing. Minato had already rushed to Iki's side, and quickly checked if Iki was injured. No, Iki. No, it's a pity for my bun, alas. Iki said with pity. It's good that you're not. Minato breathed a sigh of relief and comforted him. You are very talented. You can master the Rasengan in such a short time. It should be fast for you to research other attribute chakra forms. Don't be discouraged. I will teach you my experience in developing the Rasengan, but before that, I have a suggestion. Minato said, spreading his palms, and a Rasengan immediately took shape. But he didn't notice that Ikki's eyes flashed. The principle of Rasengan is to change the form of chakra, so that chakra can flow, and be compressed in a specific way, and then burst out with powerful power. You want to let the water chakra be presented through the Rasengan. This direction is correct, but I suggest that you start by perfecting your own Rasengan. After all, Minato's teaching came to a halt. Ikki in front of him also spread his palms, and the dissipated water ball condensed again, spinning and taking shape quickly. It was just a small spiral water ball. This. Minato was not calm. Although it was still a little rough, there was no doubt that Ikki had already done it. You found a way. Minato exclaimed. Ikki raised his eyebrows, and the water ball in his hand immediately scattered. He sighed and looked dissatisfied. It's not what you think, teacher. I can only integrate water attribute chakra, and it seems that the power is average. After releasing the water-style water dragon bomb last night, Ikki felt as if his brain was enlightened. This morning, he was full of inspiration, so he tried to see if he could copy Naruto's wind-style Rasen shurikens in the form of water-style. The process was smooth. He was able to release the water dragon bomb, and his water attribute chakra control was qualified. At least Ikki thought so. But the result was not as expected. Naruto's Rasengan was fused with wind chakra, and it became a forbidden technique on the spot. And the Rasengan with water chakra. I don't know if he opened it the wrong way, or if there was a loophole somewhere. Overall, it was no different from the rotating water jutsu, the small water bowl jutsu. Yingshu also tried to see if he could directly enter the second stage of hydrogen jutsu in one breath. Yang jutsu, a panacea chakra, was fine, and it didn't have much impact, but he couldn't hold back the thunder chakra. This made Yingshu very depressed. After all, he had learned the Rasengan in less than a month, and had tried to use his strength to create the water dragon bullet more than 10 times. Yingshu thought that he was a genius, but reality taught him a lesson. The water dragon bullet was able to be created, probably entirely relying on his large amount of chakra. Not to mention the Rasengan. He had also read Naruto Shippuden and Boruto Next Generations, and was also an old student. Hey, you still have to be down to earth. Yingshu sighed. Some evil thoughts are better not to have. Warm reminder, if you can't find it by searching the book title, you can try searching the author. Maybe he just changed his name. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.